Yep. Yep, I hit start webinar. It says recording. I got 10 people in, 11 people in, 12 people in, 15 people in. Okay, so let's see.
So you need to move us over then.
Let's see. Participants. Okay. Why is nobody else here yet? 26, here we go. Okay. Promote to panelist. Okay. Promote to panelist.
I think all the commissioners are online.
Here you go. Sorry for the delay, folks. Here, a little technical glitch. Looking for Sheena.
She's on the other side. I think we're all on the other side.
Don't see Sheena on here. Okay, so how do
Let me
I?
call, I'll call her real quick. Well, go ahead and you can just start. We have a quorum here, Alex.
Yeah, no. How do I switch you to the host here? What's that?
There's 3 buttons by you.
Yeah, no, that's where I'm in. Ah, here we go. No. For some reason, it's not giving me the option to transfer the host. Very weird. Like everything today.
Just go ahead. You Commissioner Barry is going to zoom in and you can move her and let's just get started, Alex.
Okay.
You can run the meeting. It's okay. We're good.
Okay, so I'm just looking for where to bring everybody else in.
So let's do a roll call.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking for where to bring everybody else in, or are we broadcasting?
So when we, for example, with MPD and the other guests, you'll do the same with them as you did with the commissioners.
Yeah, no, but I mean, do we already have everybody else?
So you'll see their names on the other side.
People are.
We as panelists, we can see everyone in the room.
Okay. So just go ahead and start the meeting.
Yep.
Good evening, everyone, and sorry for the delay in getting started. This is the February 9th, 2023 public meeting of Advisory Neighborhood Commission 2G. I am Alexander M. Padro, the chair. We have quorum present, but we will begin with the roll call. Mr. Secretary, if you be so kind.
Yeah, should we start recording the meeting first?
It is recording.
Okay, great. 2G01.
Present. Sorry.
2G02.
Present.
2G03 present. 2G04.
Present.
2G05. 2G06.
Here and Commissioner Barry's on the other side.
I see
So
that.
Alex, you can move. She's on the other side now.
Looking for her.
She has her hand raised.
Oh, yep. There she is. Got it.
Okay, we have 6 of 6 commissioners present. We have a quorum to conduct business.
Thank you very much. You have the agenda before you. I would welcome a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 It's unanimous. Thank you very much. As always, we'll begin the meeting with a report from the Metropolitan Police Department's 3rd District. If we can have the representatives, I see Lieutenant Fleming. Bring it over, Lieutenant. Welcome, Lieutenant. If you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself and proceed with your report.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me on the meeting. Again, I'm Lieutenant Fleming with the 3rd District in the Metropolitan Police Department. I'll go over the crime report. I'm happy to say we are down in the ANC 2G area. We're down in most crimes. So first I'll start off with some of the more significant events that we had, and then I'll go over the trends and what we're doing to address them. So the most significant event we had was on Tuesday, January 21st at 9th and P Street Northwest. We had a shooting. A person was inside an establishment when another person entered and began shooting at the first person, and then the first person withdrew a pistol and started shooting back. This case was closed with the arrest of Daryl James. He was the person who was originally inside of the restaurant. He was arrested for carrying a pistol without a license, and the arrest of Mr. Jalen Brown. He was arrested for assault with a dangerous weapon. The second incident, we had a robbery on Monday, January 9th in the 800 block of R Street Northwest. A suspect distracted a victim by asking if a dropped item was hers. The suspect then brandished a handgun and demanded the victim's jacket. The suspect fled with the victim's jacket. This case remains under active investigation. We had another robbery on Thursday, January 26th in the 500 block of Q Street Northwest. A group of 6 juveniles surrounded our victim, brandished a knife and demanded his AirPods. And then the victim relinquished the AirPods and the suspects fled with the victim's AirPods. This case remains under active investigation. And then the final robbery we had on Tuesday, February 7th in the 800 block of P Street Northwest. Our victim was sitting in her vehicle when the suspect tapped her on her window with a handgun. The suspect demanded the victim's vehicle and he took the vehicle and fled in the vehicle. This vehicle was recovered, I believe, the next day up in Baltimore. So we're able to get the vehicle back. This case remains under active investigation. This one, we were able to get some great video, so we're confident that we'll be able to hold the person who did this accountable for what they did. To the greater trends, we've seen a decrease in most crime in the ANC 2G area. The major exception remains motor vehicle theft. They're primarily occurring on Saturday and Sunday. The only area where we've seen them clustered is 10th and Elm Street Northwest. Motor vehicle thefts are led by 2 categories. The first being vehicles left running and unattended, and the second being Kias and Hyundai vehicles, the TikTok Kia challenge. We encourage people to turn off and secure their vehicles when they exit them, and we encourage people to use a steering wheel lock if they have a Kia or a Hyundai that is a 2021 model or older. These Kias and Hyundai vehicles lack a mobilizer system, so they can be started with just a USB connector. And then for the crime, what are we doing? In addition to shifting our deployment based on the crime patterns over the last month, we've been making arrests. We made 7 arrests for illegal firearms in the area and 4 arrests for theft. Also had trouble with theft from autos. It somewhat touches the ANC 2G area. We started a mountain bike tactical unit to address these theft from autos. Got officers on mountain bikes patrolling the streets, trying to catch people in the act, but it's a pretty difficult one. We've had some success already with that, where we've had our officers on the mountain bikes sat and watched someone steal a package off someone's porch, was able to go stop the person, return the package, and take the thief to jail. That's all I've got. Are there any questions for me?
Members of the commission, are there any questions for the lieutenant? Indicate by raising.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, Rochelle, go ahead.
Hold on, I was stepped away for a second. Oh, Lieutenant, hi. So you talk about these mountain bike patrol. I don't see the mountain bike patrol. When do they come out?
So they generally work an evening tour, so that's about 3 p.m. till 1 in the morning. They generally come in about midnight. They're out there, but it's only 2 officers at any given time. So, I mean,
Can they swoop down here and in the alleys? You know how I am about any sort of patrol.
yes, they can.
So this is at night only?
So they start at about 3 p.m.
Oh.
So 3 p.m. to about midnight is when they're going to actually be out there on the streets.
Okay, is that every day?
No, it's not every day. It's a few days a week because they, of course, they got to have days off and everything.
So, but this is their main gig.
Yeah.
So if I call the watch commander, then I would say, is the bike patrol people out?
Yep. Again,
Great.
during those hours, the watch commander would know about it. Yep.
Okay, super. I'll be doing that. Thanks.
Other commissioners with questions for the lieutenant? I did see that there was a question in the chat. This is related to a shooting that occurred yesterday around 7:30 p.m. near 10th and M Streets. Person heard between 5 and 8 shots, which was confirmed by neighbors. Do you have anything on that?
Only have very minor information on that. I believe our officers, they recovered spent shell casings. There was a lookout given. We tried to find the people, but we were unsuccessful in finding the people. Not aware of any victims or anyone being struck by gunfire.
All right, if there are no other commissioner questions, we'll see if there are any questions from members of the public. If you have a question for Lieutenant Fleming, please indicate by raising your hand, or if you're on the phone, use *69.
Commissioner Padro, could I just ask Lieutenant Fleming if you have a confirmation on the block where the shells were recovered yesterday?
I'm sorry, I didn't know that would be a question, so I don't have the exact block where the shells were recovered.
Okay. Could you follow up with me on that, please, after
Yep.
the call?
Yep.
Thank you so much.
I see AJ has a hand up. Go ahead, unmute.
Hi. I was wondering because you were saying that it's kind of hard. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly what you were saying was hard, but I was just wondering, like, is there anything that like the police department needs so that they could be more successful? I don't know.
All right, so when I mentioned it was difficult, I mentioned it was that in reference to catching people and arresting them for theft from autos. It's a really difficult crime to catch you because you pretty much have to catch them in the act of doing it, and generally they do it at
Right.
night, making it more difficult to see. The thing that would help the most, of course, would be more officers, but the city is in the process, got support from the council, everybody with getting more officers, but we're working with what we got now.
Okay, I'll be sure to tell my PRC no trial for the what is it called, like to just become a cadet and stuff. So yeah.
All right, thank you. And then I see AF. Go ahead, AF. You're not muted, but we don't hear anything. AF. All right, then those appear to be all the only questions for you, Lieutenant. Thank you very much for participating in the meeting this evening, and look forward to seeing you or your colleagues next month.
All right, thank you for having me.
Thanks. All right, moving on to announcements from agencies. I don't see Rose Reeder. I believe she's at the mayor's town hall meeting. So we're not going to be able to hear from her today, but we do have representatives from other district government agencies. And I know that representative from council chairman's office was going to try to make it. Representative from council chairman's office is present, please raise your hand. Declan Falls, yes. Go ahead, Declan. Get on mute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Thanks so much for having me, commissioners and members of the community. And especially thank you. I know I emailed very late, so I appreciate you giving me some time. I mostly wanted to join in briefly just to introduce myself to those I haven't met before. My name is Declan. I work in the chairman's office as a part of his constituent services team. As soon as I'm done with this, if I'm able to, I will put all of my contact information in the chat. Please feel free to reach out anytime with comments or questions for the chairman, or if there's something our constituent services team can help with, I'm happy to direct that to our team. Just one quick update. The council is just starting performance oversight season, and the chairman will be holding agency oversight hearings on the Department of Buildings and a few other agencies on February 23rd. There will also be agency oversight hearings on the education agencies on March 1st. So to learn more about upcoming hearings for the Committee of the Whole or the other committees at the council, you can visit the council website at dccouncil.gov. And to sign up for testifying at those hearings that I mentioned, you can visit chairmanmendelson.com. That's the only formal update I wanted to give for this meeting. Again, mostly wanted to join to introduce myself, and if possible, I'll put all of my contact information in the chat. But I appreciate you having me on, and I plan to be on future meetings.
So Declan, it doesn't appear that we're using the chat this evening, so if you could just go ahead and announce your information.
Yes, sure. My email address is dfalls, so DFALLS at dccouncil.gov. And my office number is 202-724-8158.
Great. Thanks. Commissioners, any questions for the council chairman's representative, Commissioner Nigro?
Hi, Declan. So when is Phil's annual call the commissioners and complain about awful buildings in their area meeting? When is that coming up? Do you know? Spring?
Is that the
I'm talking about.
the quarterly ANC meeting?
No. He's done it the past couple of years where for commissioners that have horrific development projects, which I do, he has called us to put forward information about those projects and to see if he can assist. It happened last year and the year before.
Gotcha.
Do you remember that?
I do not remember that. If it is happening this year, I don't believe it has been put on our schedule yet.
Okay.
But let me check with my supervisor and I can shoot you an email after this call.
Because I'd love to participate because I got to complain about some buildings. So
Of course.
thanks.
Any other questions? Or Declan? Don't see any hands. Any questions from members of the audience for the representative from Council Chairman Mendelson? Please raise your hand. Allow you to ask your question. I don't see any hands. So Declan, thank you for participating this evening. We look forward to seeing you again next month.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Next, we have a representative from Ward 2 Councilmember Pinto's office. See Pablo Velasco. Let's move over. Good evening, Pablo.
Hello, good to see you, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm filling in for Brian today. My name is Pablo, and I'm the council member's constituent services coordinator. So I'll go ahead and start jumping into our updates for the month. Councilmember Pinto will be holding 3 public roundtables on gun violence prevention and reduction initiatives The first will be a chance for the public to offer testimony on Zoom, and that will be on Friday, March 3rd at 11 a.m. The second will be in person at the Anacostia Library on Saturday, March 4th at 11 a.m. And the third will be for government witnesses on Monday, March 6th in the Wilson Building. All three events will be broadcast on Channel 13, the council website, and our YouTube page. And we would love for everyone to come out. And if you're interested in RSVPing, you can do so on our website, which is brookpintodc.com. So we'd love to have as many people come out as possible to those events. The council's performance oversight hearings for the entire DC government are going on now. Councilmember Pinto is attending as many hearings as she can to bring your concerns and questions directly to the heads of these agencies and departments. You can also sign up to testify live or submit testimony via email or voicemail yourself if you're interested. For example, if you have thoughts about how leaf collection went this year, which I know many people do, DPW's oversight hearing is on Wednesday, February 15th next week, starting at 2 p.m. And the instructions vary by committee for how you can sign up to testify, but for the Public Works Committee, you have to complete a form on Councilmember Nadeau's website or call the committee by close of business 4 days before the hearing date to sign up. All of that information can be found at the dccouncil.gov website as well, which includes the full schedule of hearings, which started 2 weeks ago. All of these oversight hearings lead us into budget season as well, and Councilmember Pinto hosted her annual Ward 2 budget forum a couple of weeks ago and was glad to hear from many residents and a few commissioners about priorities for the next fiscal year. Councilmember Pinto will be releasing her budget priority letter in the coming weeks, and Mayor Bowser is expected to release her budget on March 22nd. Once the mayor sends her budget to the council will hold public budget oversight hearings where you can again testify. Our office will be providing information on how you can testify for those in March, closer to the actual date. The council will then make their changes to the budget, and the first of a few votes will then be in May. As for some legislation that we've been introducing, our legislative team has been hard at work on a number of new bills that have recently been introduced. You can find some more information on all of these again at brookpintodc.com, but I wanted to highlight a few of the bills. Councilmember Pinto recently introduced the Expanding Access to Public Restrooms Act, which will increase the number of public restrooms in all 8 wards. The bill would require that all new and substantially renovated parks include restroom facilities and also provide grants to the bids and main streets to maintain and clean these facilities. Our office receives a lot of complaints about vehicle noise, so the council member also introduced a bill that would create a noise camera pilot program to identify and find vehicles that are above a reasonable noise threshold. The legislation would also create a study to determine a longer-term plan for infrastructure that reduces vehicle noise. The Prior Authorization Reform Amendment Act was also introduced, which will hold health insurers accountable so that DC residents can receive medical care in a more timely manner. And Councilmember Pinto also introduced legislation to incentivize the use of electric bicycles by establishing an instant rebate program for DC residents to use at DC businesses. As for a DPW update, leaf collection and holiday tree collection are coming to a close soon. Leaf collection is expected to be complete by the end of this week. So if you notice any areas or blocks that were missed, please call 311 or you can contact our office and let us know if there is a block that you believe is missed. If by next week or so you see that it wasn't there, and we'll pass that along to DPW to let them know. If you notice any bagged leaves that need removal, the leaves must be in paper bags, and a 311 request for yard waste removal must be completed. So again, we've seen quite a few plastic bags filled with leaves. Those are not going to be collected. They have to be in paper bags, and then you have to submit a 311 request for yard waste removal. Leaves in plastic bags should be replaced in residential trash bins and are not collected through the yard waste request. So if you do have them in a plastic bag already, don't worry, you don't have to switch them over to a paper bag if you don't want to, but just put them into your trash bin and they'll be collected with your trash. Finally, I want to remind everyone that you can visit brookpintodc.com to sign up for our email newsletter and also follow the council member on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for more updates from our office.
Great. Anything else, Pablo?
That's all I've got for today.
Commissioners, questions for Councilmember Pinto's representative, Commissioner Nigro? Unmute yourself, please, Commissioner.
Sorry. Okay, Bob, look, so I wrote the council member about the, whatever you want to call it, that noise reduction thing, whatever the official title is. I have to be honest, that sounds a complete waste of time. No one in my area has complained about any of that. And it just sounds like a free fix for someone that has a bad muffler. I did tell her that the concern that we really have are the ATVs and the illegal dirt bikes zipping up and down New York Avenue in New Jersey ad nauseum, and that makes noise. So I don't get this other bill. Who is telling her that that's a problem?
Absolutely, I hear you, and we're working on, legislative team is working on trying to find what can be done about noise from ATVs and dirt bikes, because that's obviously something we hear a lot from constituents as well. But this bill idea was actually brought to us by constituents at an office hours meeting roughly a year and a half ago, I would say. There's been a similar program introduced in New York, which has seen good results, and we wanted to try to implement that here on more specific streets that we do hear more often from constituents about, where vehicle noise is a big issue. For example, Virginia Avenue and the adjacent highway there, we hear from a lot of Foggy Bottom residents that there's a lot of vehicle noise there that can get pretty excessive. So this is something that we hope we'll be able to curb that in those areas, as well as some other streets that we've heard from residents from that they have concerns about vehicle noise apart from ATVs and dirt bikes, just regular road vehicles.
Okay, well, that's not a whole lot of people, I'll be honest with you. So, but from what I read, then the program pays for the upgrades?
In certain situations, people can apply for, because we didn't want to penalize essentially if someone has an older car that makes more noise and they don't have the money to fix it themselves. We didn't want to give them further fines just because they can't afford to fix their car, for example. But I would have to ask the legislative team for the full details. But for example, if someone has purposefully enhanced their vehicle to be louder, I don't believe they would be eligible for.
Well,
for
those are
the
the
money.
ATVs, those are the ATVs and the dirt bikes. I just think it's a waste. Her effort needs to be to where people are really complaining. And if the people on Virginia Avenue, I just don't get it. Taxpayers shouldn't pay for these mufflers or whatever else. It just seems ridiculous. And then one more about the bathroom situation, which I'm pro 100%. But you talk about giving the SIDS money and all that. What about like when the DPR, who I have a great relationship with, but they have a problem maintaining parks now? What, and then there you put a bathroom in there. That would be my concern.
And that's why they wanted to try to include some funds for additional maintenance to keep those bathrooms clean, and we hope that that'll be able to solve it, because we know that obviously maintenance is a big issue for DPR and for all public works generally. So that's why we wanted to include some funds to make sure those spaces are still clean so that everyone can enjoy them at all times.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pablo.
Other commissioners with questions for Pablo?
Just really quickly wanted to express my support for the council members' bathroom bill. We don't have any parks in ANC 2G that are 1 acre or larger. I just looked. Our largest park, New Jersey, is just shy of 1 acre, but I don't think it would with the current redesign anyway. But the question I had, actually also related to bathrooms, is in the FY23 budget, Councilmember Pinto was able to include capital funds for a public restroom at the Shaw Skate Park. We're very thankful for that. I know that may be still a couple fiscal years out in the future, but wanted to ensure that that is re-included in the budget for this fiscal year.
Absolutely, yes. That's it's been funded, so it will be happening, and I believe we're going to have a meeting with DPR and DGS fairly soon. So that's one of the questions we'll have on our agenda for the timeline on the bathroom for the Shaw Skate Park.
Thank you.
Other questions from commissioners for the council members representative? Don't see any hands. Any members of the audience that would like to pose a question to Pablo, please raise your hand. And I don't see any hands raised. So Pablo, thank you very much for coming out this evening and for standing in for Brian. And I understand that we may be seeing the council member herself next month.
Hope so. That's the plan. We're working on having the council member come to all the ANC meetings sometime in the next couple of months. So hopefully you'll see her soon.
Well, great. Thank you much, and appreciate your coming to spend some time with us this evening.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
I do see Inspector Davis from Solid Waste team for Ward 2. Inspector Davis, I'm going to bring you over in case you have something that you want to share from the department. Inspector Davis, if you want to unmute. You're still muted, Inspector Davis. All right, maybe Inspector
Hello.
Davis. Yes, go ahead, Inspector.
Hi, I'm Harold Davis, Solid Waste Inspector for Ward 2. I just want to introduce myself because I've been transferred back to Ward 2. This will be my second stint in Ward 2. I was here several years ago. I have 16 going on 17 years experience of solid waste. I mean, as inspector, and I've been in just about every ward. Right now, I'd like to tell you, we're talking about springtime. We're gonna do what we call a fight back, where we all gonna come out. We select certain areas. Most of them are areas that need attention, and it's gonna be our office. We're gonna have our street and alley crew with us. We're gonna invite some of our counterparts like DOH, the Department of Transportation out with us, so that we can attack some of the areas in every ward. So they selected a few areas. If you like, I could give y'all my email, and if y'all have a couple of areas, y'all can send them to me. I can present it to them, to my supervisor, and they do the selecting. So that's what the news I can give you for today. Of any other questions you would like to give. And also, I'm also going around certain areas real soon and pass out some more education information on trash cans out wrong day, wrong time. I see there's a lot of trash cans out, and it's causing so much scattered trash in the alleyways, and also some people that have front collection, because failure to maintain is a strict liability for residents, and if somebody trash blow into front of your house, that's not fair to you. So I will be doing that myself. If there's any questions y'all would like to ask, I can answer.
Yes, Commissioner Nigro.
Hi, Inspector. How's it going?
How you doing?
I know you see my name. So here's the thing. So constituents do complain about the trash cans not being back, and then they don't get a response. And so you're saying, what are you saying now? That it's now going to work, or?
Well, the thing about that is, we do respond. I respond.
Yes, I know.
I have issued several citations for that already. But I am going to go out, because we do get new residents. We do get people that just move in. They're really not as knowledgeable of some of the regulations that the city have. So I'm gonna go and start re-educating some of these locations that have their trash cans out on the regular. Also dealing with trash. The education material I have is not just on trash cans out. It's on pretty much everything that needs to be done by the residents to help keep the neighborhood clean.
So my constituents aren't necessarily gonna, I mean, I know who you are, right? And I deal with the director's office and all that, but my constituents are gonna call 311, and here's what currently happens. They call 311, nothing happens, and then 8 hours later, Commissioner Nigro gets an email, and then I have to email the director's office. So it's kind of like, if they call 311, are they gonna get a response?
If they go back on to 311, whatever we do, whatever the inspector do, it's on the system. It's in the system telling the inspector should be putting data information into that service request when they go out.
Okay.
Stating what they found and what they have done. That's what I do. I can speak for me.
Yep.
I put that information in into the system. Sometimes it may not seem like anything being done to some residents. It just don't, especially if they're renters. Sometimes the renters just don't, they don't have that, they don't care as much. And if the owner is not being diligent and going to that resident and letting them know, some just pay the fine. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mhm.
Pay the fine.
Mhm.
And keep moving. So that's why I want to re-educate. We're not going to take the trash cans away because then the back trash will be on the ground. So that's why I want to go out and educate and re-educate and try to work with the residents on that in that way.
Okay, so I'm going to send you offline some specific addresses I would like you to re-educate. One of them being a small construction site. So,
You said a small construction site?
well, it's a developer. What, you know,
Okay.
but welcome to my single member district.
All right.
I'll send it to you though.
All right. Thank you.
Inspector, this is Commissioner Brown. Is there a process in place for trash can replacement, and what's the policy? Is there a cost?
For trash can replacement?
Yes.
Any trash can that have rodent damage is replaced free.
Okay.
Okay. The thing is that it's so many requests that we do run out of the cans, and it's a while for them to replace it. Now, some people are putting it in ret replacement 311 for cans that may got hit by a car or ran over. That is not ret replacement. Those that you do have to replace by paying for it.
Okay.
Now, I want to say this. If we know for a fact that maybe they didn't put your can where it should have been, and maybe someone else hit and ran it over, then that's something that you can forward to us. We would check into it, and hopefully I could get your can replaced for free if we caused that problem.
Okay. Okay. And while I'm thinking about it, I've been dealing with a couple of situations. Is there a limit on the number of cans you can have in a single home? I've experienced one alley, one home has 16 cans in it. Right down the alley, there was another that had 11 cans.
Now, we don't have any type of citation or any type of rule, but that is excessive. So what I'm going to do is you can give me or email me the address, because what I'm going to do is I'll go out there and I will check the can number, because sometimes those cans don't belong to that address.
Okay.
I will check the can number. If it do not belong at the address, I'll move them and take them where they belong, or I'll have our guys collection come to get them. That's a lot of cans. I can't get all those in my truck, but I can have them come and remove the ones that do not belong there.
Okay. Can you give us your email address?
Yes. Email is Harold, HAROLD, at Davis, DAVIS, at DC.gov. And I'm going to give you all my cell number, which is 202-359-2345.
You said 5345?
Yeah, 2345.
23, okay.
Yeah, 359-2345.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
And I just wanted to say, if anything, whenever y'all have a complaint, do the 311 and call me and email me with your service request number, because your follow up, your traceable, you understand what I'm saying? You're something that you could trace back.
The 311 number. Okay.
Yes, the service request number.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from commissioners for Inspector Davis? Not, I see a hand from Christy in the audience. You have a question for Inspector Davis. Christy, please unmute.
Thanks. Hi, Inspector Davis. I just wanted
Hello.
to give a shout out when you all do that push in the spring, that one of the big problems in our area continues to be the handful of neighbors who insist on dumping their private trash in the public bins instead of using the trash pickup service. Thank you for the attention. Appreciate y'all.
Yes, I like to tell you, I check the litter cans. The thing with the litter cans are, I gotta have some identification to prove who placed the items into the litter can.
Yeah.
You check them. I check them on the reg because I used to do 11th Street. 11th Street was really bad. 11th Street up and down 11th Street was really bad, and I got a couple of fines out there. So
Thanks, Anna. Keep up the great work.
thank you.
So, hey, Inspector Davis, just to piggyback on that, last year, apparently you were able to accept like videos. Is that still correct?
Now, anything that we get from a resident or anyone that's playing, we can accept the video. That's ECU, they will follow up. But when we go to court, if we didn't get it, if we didn't do it, that person has to testify. Because the judge said they always ask, did we as the government say, did we take the video or did we take the picture?
Mhm.
So we do accept it. If we go for the ask for administrative hearing, we do request that our resident participate because it helps the case it helps our case.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Inspector, I think those are all the questions that we have from you. Appreciate you coming to our meeting this month, and we look forward to working with you.
All right, thank you.
Next, we have April King from DC Public Library. She's the manager for the Wapiti Daniel Shaw Library.
Hi, thank you for having me, Alex and Alex. Yep, April King, I've met some of you. I've been manager here at Shaw for going on 2 years. And this go round, I just really wanted to quickly share 2 programs that are happening. One's happening this Saturday. It's a discussion about the history of neighborhoods in the Shaw LaDroit areas. Did I say that? A history of the Shaw and LaDroit neighborhoods. That will be at, should know that off the top of my head. That is at 4 o'clock here at Shaw. And the next is the city has started a program it's with Chromebooks, giving Chromebooks to DC residents, but DC residents who are receiving district services. So there is some confusion going on about how people get the devices and how they get access to learning how to use the devices. So the libraries, none of the libraries are giving or can provide the devices. They are being given out at Department of Human Services, Department of Aging, the Mayor's Office of Returning Citizens, and Child and Family Services. And I'm going to say this is called the Chrome Laptop Program. If someone is receiving services through any of those agencies, they speak to their case manager and they will put them in contact with how to get a device. After they've gotten the device, then they can come to the library and make an appointment to learn how to access and to use the device. So please, yes, please spread the word to your constituents that this program exists. And if anyone asks you where they can get the device, which we are asked several times a day, people come in asking us that they want to get the device, but we do not have it. Let them know that they can go to those agencies or speak with their case manager at their relevant agencies. So were there any questions on that?
Ms. King, can you, what was the date of the Shaw-LaDroit Park History event?
It's this Saturday, February 11th, 4 p.m.
Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners for Ms. King?
Okay.
Seeing none, any questions from members of the audience? I see AJ with a raised hand. AJ, go ahead.
Hi. I was just wondering, like, how do you guys plan on, you know, giving the history? Like, how is the event going to go?
Oh, we have a presenter. There's someone who's going to lead a panel discussion. Is coming in.
Oh.
They're actually a Howard student working on their dissertation.
Oh.
All right, thank you. I don't see any other hands. Let's see if there's any questions in the chat. Comment is our family loves Shaw Library. Thank you for everything you do. April, please continue to do story time or perhaps go back to 2 days a week. It's been 1 day a week since 2023. Any comment on that?
Thank you. I will take that into consideration. We're looking into that. The reason that we've gone to the 1 time a week for the drop-in story time or the registered parent and nanny story time is because now up until this January, so for what, 2.5 years, we have not been able to provide service to daycare centers because we were not able to go to them and they were not able to come in to us because of their numbers. So we've had to, in order to be able to serve the daycare centers and the children who go to daycare centers, which is part of our mission as well, we had to find a time for that. So we had to include them. And we hope to be able to ramp up our service. Because although we are technically full service back in the library, we cannot go back to having 100 kids at a time in the program room. Not at this time. Well, not 100 kids, but 100 bodies. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Barry?
I wanted to know if you could tell us anything about any Black History programs you might have this month at the library that residents can attend.
Thank you. So at Shaw, we don't have anything planned other than we are hosting, the conversation about the historic neighborhoods in the Shaw and LaDroit neighborhood, the one this Saturday.
Okay.
All right, I don't see any other questions for Ms. King. So April, thank you. You're always welcome. And we look forward to hopefully in the not too distant future bringing some hybrid meetings of the ANC to the library as part of our return to normalcy. So,
okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And then we have Teresa Dubois from the Events DC. Trying to bring you over as a panelist, but it doesn't seem to be working. Teresa, I'm going to go ahead and allow you to speak if you wish to do so. All right, here's Ms. Dubois, doesn't have anything for us after all. So any other district government? Oh, well, here you go. Teresa, I do see you here, but I don't see you coming over, so I presume that you're not available. Any other district government agency?
No, she's over. She's over on our side.
On my screen.
Teresa, can you unmute yourself?
Right.
Well, perhaps we're having some technical issues there. There was one other comment for the library. Thank you for the context of providing your amazing services to daycares, babies and children. So unfortunately, we can't get to Teresa. If we're able to access her, we will ask her to come back. Any other representatives from district government agencies? I don't see any hands raised. Announcements from commissioners. I know that several commissioners had indicated that they had announcements that they wanted to make. So I believe Commissioner McCarty and Commissioner Barry had indicated that you had announcements that you wanted to make tonight. Perhaps your plans have changed. Commissioner McCarty, you need to unmute yourself if you want to speak.
I was just going to say I'll defer to Commissioner Barry. I've shared my updates with my constituents.
Okay. Commissioner Barry.
So what I wanted to announce is I wanted to see if anyone in this area would be interested in, especially near the convention center. I'm looking for areas. I'm thinking a great solution to our parking issue for residents, especially during times of events and things like that, is if we have residential permit parking only areas, so that residents will have a place to park, so they don't feel held hostage by the area if they, like they can't leave the area or risk having to walk a significant amount of blocks. Parking is very important. Several people in this area drive and park, and we need to take care of that situation. And I think that's a great way to do that, is to provide residential only parking for people who live in the immediate area. If you're interested in working with me on this project, please let me know. It's something that I'm going to try to pull through in areas that suffer the most from parking, especially with events that are held at the convention center.
So Sheena, all we have to do, like I did it a couple months, like, I don't know, whatever, September, I can't remember now, is done by resolution. So all you have to do is name the blocks, and then we vote on it for residential only parking. Just, triage your constituents first, and then it's done by and if we approve it, then it goes to DDOT for their consideration.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Yeah, we need to do it. Let's do it.
Mine's been sitting there, so you just actually reminded me. I got to follow up on it. Sitting there for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, I'm learning. I'm excited now. Yeah,
I'll help you. You can just cut and paste my resolution. But I was actually at the convention center's board of directors meeting today, and I brought up to them how their parking map that they have for their guests is inaccurate, or anyway, so if they can fix it, because they're missing the parking garage that's in 655 New York Avenue and the large parking garage that's in the city center project. So those are significant, because as I say, 2G06 is the parking lot for the convention center, and we don't want to be that. So I did talk about it today.
Good. Yeah, that's huge. And the other announcement I wanted to make is next month we're going to have DPR here, the Department of Parks and Recreation, and they're going to be here to speak about their programs. I want more people in the community to sign up for community activities or enrichment programs held at the Kennedy Recreation Center. If we could start to utilize that center more as a community center, and have it be a place where children can go for all types of different programs, like whether it be dancing or to speak to someone about issues that you might be having, or an exercise class for seniors, or a knitting class. Like they have, so many different types of programs. So a representative for that organization will be here next month to help out. But you can stop by the Kennedy Recreation Center and get details about the programs. It's also on their website to get more information about that.
And I can also share from the Q&A. Someone is commenting, please, all caps, exclamation point. This would be amazing around the convention center and Blagden Alley. Amazing, Sheena. So, some obvious support for your proposal.
So, it's already on the western side of the convention center. And technically I like a little bit on the northern side, somewhat, but definitely on the western side. So we're trying to let's get the whole thing.
Yeah, let's get it.
Hooray.
So anyone can email me. My email address is 2go5@anc.dc.gov. And if you're interested in working with me on that, and I'm happy that I have interest in it, just I'm ready to move on it as soon as we can get it going. Let's do it.
So Alex, Teresa Dubois texted me. She has no announcements.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right. Other organizations that would like to make announcements, if you can raise your hand. And I don't see any hands raised. Any other community residents that would like to make any announcements, please raise your hand now. Otherwise, we will move on with the agenda. All right, so moving on, invitation to join ANC 2G committees. We have 4 standing committees, 3 of which we have chairs for. I'd like to take a few moments to have each standing committee chair make a quick pitch for membership, volunteers to join your committees. And why don't we start with Commissioner Lopez and the Transportation Committee.
Okay, so all of the committees are important. The Transportation and Public Space Committee is my favorite. This committee meets monthly. We do not meet in January. We're still getting off the ground, but the date of our meeting is still TBD. What this committee looks at is it looks at issues related, everything from transit service in our neighborhood to transportation safety, to public space and public space design issues. That's all within the purview of this committee. And the committee meets once a month, as I mentioned, to make recommendations to the ANC for commission action. We review a lot of DDOT proposals around streetscape projects, street improvements, notices of intent that come through DDOT. It's a great committee, and it helps make the ANC a lot more proactive and on issues related to transportation. And when transportation issues come onto the agenda, it's just like as anything else that comes before a committee, all of the detail work, most of the detail work happens at the committee level. So if you want to get down to the weeds, that's really where you should be showing up.
Great. And did you want to share contact information so that folks can sign up?
That's a great idea. If you want to sign up, send me an email at 2go3@anc.dc.gov, and we'll make sure to get that information on the ANC website as well.
Great. Next, if we could hear from Zoning, Planning, and Historic Preservation, Commissioner Nigro.
Well, our committee's fabulous. So if you are into how the historic buildings look around here, the neighborhood look, the facades, and then about the actual growth of the area, because we deal with the the parcels of lands that are going to be developed, what the developers want. So it's impactful, the size of the project, that type of thing. So it's basically how the neighborhood looks and feels. So I welcome all members, new members. We meet currently on the Thursday before the meeting and via virtual, which is totally fine still. And also, I would love not to lead it. So if someone who loves zoning or knows about it or loves this type of stuff, call me. 202-236-3329, or you can email me 2g06@anc.dc.gov. There you go.
Great. And then the last committee that we currently have a chair for is the Alcoholic Beverage Licensing Committee, and that's chaired by yours truly. So the committee is responsible for making recommendations to the full commission related to new licenses for ABC establishments. That includes liquor stores, as well as restaurants, bars, and nightclubs, and also for renewals of those licenses. And when the renewals come up, that's the time for constituents that have concerns about the operations of particular licensees to speak up, so that we can take that into consideration and try to find out how we can try to address those issues, or if necessary to protest and challenge the renewals, so that those applicants know that we mean business and that we want to see change happen. So the committee is meeting on the Thursday before the monthly ANC meeting, and you can send an email to 2go2@anc.dc.gov, and we'd love to have your participation. The last of the committees is the Public Safety Committee, which we do not currently have a chair for. So we're recruiting a chair. If a member of the public would like to perhaps chair or co-chair the committee, we'd love to hear from you as well. So you can send an email to 2g@anc.dc.gov if you're interested in the public safety. So I do see one comment in the Q&A related to transportation, that 125 plus people signed a petition protesting an amendment raised last year to turn the 900 block of M Street two-way between 9th and Blagden Alley. So that's perhaps something that the Transportation Committee can evaluate. So with that, we'll begin the meat of our agenda. We have a presentation from the National Park Service about the Carter G. Woodson home during Black History. And I'm trying to see if the representative from the National Park Service is still here. We may have lost. Nope, here he goes. Vincent Vase is with the National Park Service, and he's been involved in bringing the Carter G. Woodson home back online for a number of years. So, Mr. Vase, I have moved you over, but I don't see you. Here you go.
So first, hope you can see me okay.
You're a little fuzzy, but we can sort of make you out. There you go.
All right. Welcome. It's an honor to be here, and I'm proud to say that the work on the Carter G. Woodson home National Historic Site is progressing really well. If you've been by the site, you notice some activity. Just so that everyone's up to speed, there are 3 adjacent row homes. Dr. Woodson was in 1538. The adjacent 2 row homes are being reconfigured on the inside, and we'll have offices for ASALH, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, the Ranger offices, museum, permanent exhibits, and it's really going to be a game changer. We're looking at the fall of 2023 to be completed. Those of us, and I remember Alex, you were there in the years and years ago, from the very beginning there. It's been a really long journey, and we're in the home stretch right now. I was just on a call this evening for some of the permanent exhibits. Some of the rooms will be furnished like they would in Dr. Woodson's time. And others will be, state-of-the-art exhibits, audio, visual. So just a really great opportunity to learn about Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the creator of Black History Month. So here we are in Black History Month, and we have the birthplace of Black History Month right in our own neighborhood. I saw that, Sheena, you had some questions about Black History Month and what's being done. I can say the National Park Service is doing some major events. I'll mention 3 of them. I'll be brief. The first is this Saturday, and it's earlier. It ends at 4, so you can leave a little bit early and still get over to the library, because I don't want to take away anything from April's wonderful event at the Shaw Library. We love the Shaw Library too. But our Frederick Douglass event, it's starting at 2 o'clock at the Capitol Turnaround there on 770 M Street Southeast. You can get in on 7th Street. So you remember, lucky number 7, February 11th, 2 o'clock, Capitol Turnaround. Speeches by youth who've memorized Mr. Douglas's speeches. But we're going to have music, the Washington Revels, and then we're also going to have a friendly debate of, was Mr. Douglas a Marylander, a Washingtonian, a New Yorker, or did he consider himself a Massachusetts person? So it'll be a lively, friendly debate with a big vote at the end. So that's going to be our grand kickoff. And I'm also excited, perhaps even a little more excited, about Saturday, February the 18th. And you have to join us. We're going to meet at the Mary McLeod Bethune Council House National Historic Site at 11 o'clock. And we're doing a walking tour of the Shaw neighborhood. And Alex will be with us and be a major feature of this walking tour. So I don't know how many ANCs actually are able to do a walking tour of the history of the neighborhood, but that shows that what we have. And we are also having a special actor, noted actor Darius Wallace. He's actually going to appear on Law and Order this coming season. So he's a real deal actor, and he's portraying Dr. Woodson. And as he walks through the neighborhood, Wallace, portraying Woodson, will give a first-person account from writings that we actually have from Dr. Woodson of the Shaw and Logan Circle neighborhoods. So this is a really awesome opportunity. 11 o'clock, February 18th, and we will end at Shiloh Church, where we can all warm up. And he'll do his capping off of his presentation as Dr. Woodson there at Shiloh. But it starts at 11 on the 18th of February. It's free. You can go to our website. You can just Google National Park Service, Carter G. Woodson, NPS, and make a reservation, because we can't have like 300 people going down the street. But we can have a lot, and you just register. And then lastly, Saturday, February 25th, at noon, 1318 Vermont, at the Mary McLeod Bethune Council House National Historic Site, Dr. David Taft Terry will be doing a talk about leadership during the great African-American women leadership in the Great Depression. So we're really excited about that. So if you Google our website there, just Carter G. Woodson NPS on a Google search, you'll see all these events on our splash page right there. That's our offerings for Black History Month. And again, tremendously excited about the work progressing at the Carter G. Woodson Home National Historic Site as we speak, targeting the fall of 2023. We're installing the elevator. This site will be fully accessible as much as we can make it, Braille maps, the whole 9 yards. So it's going to be a real game changer.
Great, thanks for the update. And obviously those of us that have been working for a very long time to see the Woodson home come back online are very excited to, at long last, have this event in the 100th anniversary year of Dr. Woodson moving into the house. So
That's right, you got it.
Very appropriate. Any questions for Mr. Vase from members of the commission? Any questions for Mr. Vase from members of the audience? And I don't see any hands. So thank you very much for joining us this evening and for letting us know a few things that we can enjoy during Black History Month here in the neighborhood, and giving us an opportunity to get excited about the big event coming up later this year when the Woodson home will come back in all its glory, so that people from all over the world can come and celebrate the wonderful history of Black history here in the Shaw neighborhood. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Next, we have a presentation from DC Water. This is on the northeast boundary tunnel, which has the end of the line or the beginning of the line, as depending on how you look at it. I see that we have Daniel Briggs from DC Water. So let's give you across. Trying to promote you as a panelist, Mr. Briggs, and for some reason it's not clicking over. I don't know what's going on there. Looks like we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty again. Oh, maybe he's coming through.
He's moved over.
Oh, great. Okay. For some reason, there's a lag on my end, and I don't see him there. So
He needs to unmute.
So, Mr. Briggs, if you can unmute, we'd love to hear about, and let's see, Clean Rivers, we have Hadia Jordan. Looking, are you here? For some reason, here it goes. Rivers. All right, so Hadia Jordan from Clean Rivers of DC Water is also with us. Go ahead, Ms. Jordan.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. My name is Hadia Jordan, and I am presenting tonight for the DC Water's Northeast Boundary Tunnel Project. I'm the Senior Public Outreach Coordinator for this project. So I have a presentation I'd like to give tonight. Will I be able to share my screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay. I see that here. So, thank you, Commissioner Alex Lopez. I appreciate the invitation tonight. Appreciate being able to give an update tonight to your community about the project and its status. I'm going to give a brief overview of the Clean Rivers project and why we are constructing the Northeast Boundary Tunnel. I'll give you some quick information about the DC Flood Task Force and some resources available through DC Water for folks who've experienced flooding or do not want to experience flooding. I'm going to give you an update about the R Street construction site, which is within your area. Commissioner Lopez, I appreciate your partnership as well in working with me on this project. I'll talk about our claims process, which we have if you believe that our construction project has caused damage to your property. We have a process to address that grievance. I'm going to talk about our Main Street partnership and then give you some contact information. So first, I'm going to drop my email address into your chat, into your Q&A.
So why don't you go ahead and announce that we're not using the chat.
Okay, so the Clean Rivers Project is DC Water's ongoing program to reduce combined sewer overflows in the district waterways, the Anacostia River, the Potomac River, and Rock Creek. This project is a massive infrastructure and support program. It's designed to capture and clean wastewater during large rainfalls before it even reaches our rivers. So the yellow dots are the outflows that are located in the Anacostia River, Rock Creek, and Potomac River. The green area highlights the area in the district, which covers about 1/3 of the city, which is served by combined sewers. So here are two images, one of the combined sewer system, which 2G is within, and this is the separated sewer system. So the combined sewer system was developed before 1900, and it is a single pipe that captures flow from storm drains when it rains and sewage, sanitary sewage that comes from our buildings, our homes, the buildings that serve our communities. Normally, that flow is directed to the Blue Plains Advanced Wastewater Treatment Facility with no problem. But when we have a large wet weather event, that system can be overwhelmed and the capacity exceeded, and it is designed to outflow into the river, into the waterways, which I showed you on the previous page. This is the separated sewer system, the pipe for the sewage, and then a separated pipe for the storm drain, which is filled when there's a rain event. This pipe for the storm drain outflows into the waterways, but the pipe for the sewage, that is directed to the Blue Plains system, where it is treated and cleaned before it's released into the Potomac River. So here we have a map that shows that we have the Anacostia River Tunnel system already in place. It is operating now, and we are constructing the Northeast Boundary Tunnel to connect to that. And this will complete the Anacostia River Tunnel system. We also completed the First Street Tunnel already, and that will be connected to the Northeast Boundary Tunnel as well. In 2030, we will have completed the Potomac River Tunnel. That work will begin perhaps next year, the year after that, where we will begin the construction of it. And it will connect to the Anacostia River Tunnel as well. This dot right here is the Blue Plains system, where we treat that capture flow and clean it and release it into the Potomac River. So already, while it's in operation, we've captured over 14.7 billion gallons to date. And we've captured 9,300 tons of trash, debris, and other solids. So trash does enter into our sewer system. It's captured into our tunnels, and that has helped to clean the Anacostia River already. We've already exceeded its expectation of success, and it has already helped to reduce some of the frequency of flooding in the Bloomingdale system. It significantly mitigated the duration of sewer flooding that causes basement backups in the northeast boundary drainage area that I showed you in the green. And this helps to keep our city healthy and clean. Let me go back to the previous page because I was moving fast and I didn't get to show you what we're constructing. So what we're constructing to connect to the existing sewer system to help reduce that chronic flooding that we experience in our neighborhoods. DC Water is constructing the Northeast Boundary Tunnel, and to capture flow from the combined sewer system, we're building diversion facilities, such as what we're building at the R Street site, which I'll talk more about coming up. These diversion facilities connect to the existing sewer system. When we have a large rain event, that exceedance is captured and directed down through the system. This is the drop shaft. The flow moves through it, and then it connects to the tunnel. So this is an image of the Northeast Boundary Tunnel. So right here, this blue line is a portion of the Anacostia River Tunnel, which is already operating. And Here at CSO 19, we will connect the northeast boundary tunnel to the Anacostia River Tunnel. This is the RFK Stadium, just to give you a sense of where we are. This is the Anacostia River right here. So just south of the Anacostia River, these two tunnel systems connect. This is a 5-mile long alignment. It makes its way up to Rhode Island Avenue here, and underground is already constructed. It ends at the R Street construction site. These blue squares that you see here, these 6 blue squares, these highlight areas where there is chronic flooding. And so the tunnel is aligned to be able to reduce chronic flooding in those areas. And the red dots show the different construction sites that we have where we're building the different diversion facilities to connect to the system, the existing sewer system. So when it's completed and operating, the tunnel, which will be 23 feet in diameter inside, is 5 miles long. So this tunnel has been completed. What we're doing now is connecting the diversion facilities to it. This is a large project for DC Water, costing over $580 million. It's designed to provide control to our combined sewer overflow system. It will reduce the chronic flooding that we've experienced. And the reason that we have to do this is there is a federal consent decree which requires this project to be placed in operation by March 2025. So we will be 2 years ahead of that date that the federal government has implemented for the Northeast Boundary Tunnel to be completed. This was accelerated in 2012 because of the flooding that was happening repeatedly in the Bloomingdale and the LaJoy Park communities. So this summer, we will be able to place the tunnel system into operation. Just to give you some background information about the DC Flood Task Force, it's been established by the Office of the City Administrator. Its purpose is to identify policies and projects to bolster flood readiness while equitably protecting the district's residents and the economy from the damage that floods cause. I encourage you to go to this webpage to learn more, DC Flood Task Force at .org. DC Water also has an informative webpage, dcwater.com/flooding. It gives links to additional resources that residents can use to learn more about. For instance, if you feel that you've been, there's a damage to your property from a flood, there's a link to the claims process that you can initiate for it. Also, if you need to reach DC Water about any flooding problem that you're experiencing, we encourage you to call the DC Water Command Center. The number is 202-612-3400, and you can email them at command.center@dcwater.com. So just to get the system started in 2023, we need to be able to complete the important commissioning process. Commissioning is the process of assuring that all the components of the tunnel will function together as a cohesive system. So we've already initiated that process. When we temporarily closed or took the First Street Tunnel out of service in December 2022, we needed to go inside of that tunnel and demolish a concrete structure, which will no longer be needed once this tunnel is operating as a connecting point to the Northeast Boundary Tunnel. We will return this tunnel back into service in December. Then next, as a part of the commissioning process, we'll go and demolish remove the bulkheads that separate the Northeast Boundary Tunnel from the Anacostia River Tunnel. and that separate the First Street Tunnel from the Northeast Boundary Tunnel. We want to make sure those are open and operating before we get the system operating. And then we'll go ahead and activate all of the diversion facilities at these locations on the alignment. That's a lot. I'm sure I've said a lot to you. This is a schedule for the work that we'll do this year. We'll finish those diversion sites and some inlets that we are constructing and put the last portions of the covers on the system. That work should be done by June or so for all of the sites. And the commissioning process for the Northeast Boundary Tunnel will be completed and the tunnel should begin operation by the end of September or October. So now I'm going to go ahead and talk about the sites in the Northwest area. I won't go through all of these sites, but I just wanted to highlight in this map that we give periodic tunnel forums for the community that are impacted by our construction sites. In the spring, we'll do another tunnel forum and we'll talk about the First Street pumping station construction project, the T Street construction site, which is located at T in Rhode Island, the Florida Avenue site, which is at 3rd Street in Rhode Island, and the R Street construction site. So at the R Street construction site, we are in the space that will become the Cooper Gordon Park when we restore it to a park area. It's a very compact construction site. We've had to close the R Street between 6th and Rhode Island Avenue for the size of the construction site. Right now, we're getting closer to completion, where right now we are finishing the work on the ventilation control vault here. We're installing roof slabs to various parts of it, and then we'll backfill the area. And then later, we'll install the electrical cabinet and the cover to the drop shaft. This blue line is the tunnel. This is the end point. The R Street is the end point for the Northeast Boundary Tunnel. When we restore the site, this is an image of what the Cooper Gordon Park will look like. We'll plant trees such as oaks and crepe myrtles, plenty of shrubs and grasses. We'll restore the original ornamental iron fencing that was within the park. We will place the memorial plaques for Miss Cooper and Miss Gordon, who are celebrated in this park. We will have park benches, irrigation system, and the Commission of Arts and Humanities has worked with us and has managed the process for commissioning a new sculpture, which will be installed in the park area. On this map, I just wanted to show you the traffic pattern that we have in the area. This is our R Street construction site. This is Rhode Island Avenue, where we've had to reduce traffic to 2 lanes as you navigate past our construction site, moving eastbound. This is the area where we have closed the R Street, but we have kept the bike lane open. And you're able to navigate around in a merged area on 6th Street as you move towards Rhode Island Avenue. This is the detour. If you were trying to continue down R Street, you have to come all the way down to P Street and then make a right up 7. And this is our pedestrian detour. We want to help make sure that pedestrians are navigating the area safely. Please use the crosswalk areas as you cross the street. The street is open on R Street. As I mentioned earlier, if you are a property owner and you believe that our construction activities have caused damage to your property, We do have a claims process where we can initiate a claim for you. Just send an email to dccleanrivers@dcwater.com, and we will work with you to initiate that claim through the contractor. It is an insurance process. We will make a determination of the cause of the damage to your property. We do have a partnership with Main Streets to work with the businesses who are impacted by our construction, meaning that they are near our construction sites. And so the Main Street that we are working with in the R Street area is the Shaw Main Street. There are two others that we work with as well, North Capitol Main Street and Rhode Island Avenue Main Street. Your commissioner, your chair, Alex Pedro, is the executive director of Shaw Main Street. He's been a great partner with us as we've worked with the businesses that are directly across the street from our sites. This is the contact information if you have more questions about the Main Street. This is how you can reach us. You can send an email to dccleanrivers@dcwater.com. We do have a 24/7 hotline at 800-988-6151, where you can leave a question or concern, and we'll follow up with you and respond to that. We do have a web page at dcwater.com/NEBT. When I finish my presentation, which I am now, I can put links to my email and a link to this presentation, which I posted on our website, if anyone would like to look at this. So I am ready for questions.
Hey, I have a question. Thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to confirm that the anticipated date when the R Street construction site will be completed, and then what is the timeline for restoration of the Cooper Gordon Park?
So everything at the R Street site should be completed, including the restoration, by August. So I'll continue to send updates to the community. We do have a newsletter that I send out to all of the different construction sites giving updates. If you send your email address to dccleanrivers@dcwater.com, let me know that you're interested, particularly in the R Street site, and I'll add you to the list and you can begin to receive updates. But yes, in the summer, all of R Street will be completed and restored.
Right, and then what's the timeline for restoration of the Cooper Gordon Park?
I
Approximately how
can't
many
give
months?
you an exact date at the moment of when we'll begin that restoration. When we finish those other items that I listed, then we'll be able to begin the restoration for that area. So we just have a few more things that we need to finish completing at this location. When we begin the restoration, not just of the park, but of some of the curbs and gutters, and repaving the streets and reopening our street, I'll keep giving updates for that. But I'm sorry, Commissioner Lopez, I can't give you a date that that'll begin right now.
Okay, thanks.
Ms. Jordan, if you can take your presentation down, we have a couple of comments. This neighborhood resident says that I have good friends who just bought a row house on First, a few blocks from Rhode Island Avenue. I'm sure they'd like to see this PowerPoint. Will it be made public?
Yes, let's see, I'll go ahead and try to place that, a link to it in the Q&A. Is that the location that I could put a link?
Yeah, no, you can, but it's not going to be accessible by
Okay.
participants. So.
Let's see, it is on the website already. I did post it. So if you go to dcwater.com/NEBT, and go to a drop-down menu for documents, it's posted on there. So you do have immediate access to it tonight.
And the other comment was related to the section of R Street between 6th Street and Marion Street. The comment was, you can keep that section of R Street closed. It's the only safe section of the R Street bike lane. So.
I don't understand. Are they asking to keep our street closed?
Yes, that's the suggestion on the part of the comment. So.
I hear you. Well, I think if you raise that with your transportation committee here for the ANC, then if that's a request that the residents actually want to make, you can work with DDOT and they can make a decision onto whether they keep that street open or not.
Okay, any other questions, Commissioner Nigro?
So I know Emmanuel was on our tour last, I think it was fall. I can't remember now. Were you there too? I can't remember.
Yes, I was there.
Okay,
I
yeah,
remember
okay, good.
meeting you.
I thought that was you. Okay, so, you know, that was, even though I don't represent them anymore, I do in spirit. And so that's the Morgan Kirby area. We call it the Enclave. What happened with, because I did not see them on your map. And I feel that might be a new area for your floods.
Oh, well.
So basically what happened, you guys are supposed to triage that. Emmanuel, I'm gonna call on you. Where did that, what happened to those? Because you guys were gonna go look at that area. Emmanuel?
Well, we can ask, see if Emmanuel is going to unmute. We're asking him to unmute.
Because the fear is when we have, unfortunately, one of those larger storms, it'll just happen again there. And then you guys are going to go look at it and do some sort of plan. And well, so where is that?
It doesn't appear that Emmanuel wants to unmute.
Okay. So, can we get a follow-up point for that?
Yeah, we can work on getting a follow-up for you.
Yeah, there was the Morgan Kirby, and it was homes over there, and then we had a kind of an individual situation on M Street.
Okay. I remember that.
Yeah.
I'll follow up with them and we'll get an email back to you.
All righty, great, thanks.
Any other questions from commissioners? If not, any questions from members of the audience, please raise your hand. Don't see any hands raised. So thank you very much, Ms. Jordan, for your presentation. And
fantastic, thank you.
Looking forward to getting our park back. And looking forward to seeing that that sculpture, and looking forward to the benefits of the tunnel in terms of prevention of flooding the affected areas.
Very good. Thank you. I appreciate your time tonight. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. So next we have the Mayor's Office of Nightlife and Culture, Director Spari. And this is in relation to Blagden Alley ABC establishment issues, but I know that there are other questions that commissioners may have for him as well. So Commissioner McCarty, would you like to lead this discussion or introduce the topic?
Sure, yeah. So I've heard a lot from constituents in 2G04 about many shared concerns in regards to establishments in Blagden Alley, specifically relating to nightlife and culture, and making sure that businesses are being good neighbors with the community. We've activated Salah Director Zapari with the Mayor's Office of Nightlife and Culture. They've been really proactive in working with us and reaching out to some of the businesses that neighbors have had concerns about. And so very excited for Director Zapari to share a little bit about what they've been working on. And I'll just pass it over to him.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. I know I've been working with Commissioner McCarty the last few weeks to really address some of the issues that residents have raised. Just a little bit about my office, Mayor's Office of Nightlife and Culture. We kind of operate in 3 buckets. The first one is the most relevant here, which is really our constituent services. So we work with both the operators and residents and the consumers of the nightlife economy to navigate through the bureaucracy, whether that's permitting or getting responses from different agencies. The second bucket is really in the economic development piece, which is connecting folks to grants. That's relevant here, of course, because we have connected some of the venues that are in Blagden Alley with some existing grants, and we'll continue to monitor what grants are available to, for example, address the need for a trash compactor and to explore that possibility. There's grants that the city's offered, there's grants that other partner organizations have offered that could be used for that. So we're exploring that as well. On the constituent services side, that first bucket, we've really been working with our partner agencies, DDOT, DPW, MPD, ABRA, all those agencies to just, we are not a regulatory agency. We are an advocate for the both the operators and the residents. So we've been working with them to make sure that if we need additional assistance with parking enforcement or new parking signs, that we can get that done. And then the last bucket that we really handle is the more exciting piece, which is trying to activate our spaces and attract new venues, new opportunities. So we do also work with agencies that offer grants for example, music activations or festivals and things like that. So that's kind of on a very high level what we've been doing. The 2 areas that we've identified that we can be most helpful right now is one, exploring funding for a trash compactor, as that has been one of the major complaints that we have heard from residents, and 2, upgrading signage in the alley for parking enforcement, and then getting the associated parking enforcement. Obviously, a sign is just a sign unless there's someone to write a ticket or tow the car. That won't necessarily change behavior. We also know that we have a nightlife task force that operates on Friday and Saturday nights along Connecticut Avenue, U Street, and H Street. And as part of our thinking into 2023 of how that task force will continue, we've also addressed concerns in Blagden Alley when there have been noise complaints at night. We've had ABRA inspectors go out and address those. And so really what we're helping out is with coordination and seeing what type of interventions we can come up with, because the ideal situation is we want a lively nightlife and culture, but one that also exists in that coexists with the neighbors that live there. So that's just a little bit about what we do, a little bit of an update. I know I've spoken to many of you already on the call, so I leave it open to questions. Oh, and one thing I do want to also plug before we go to any questions is I just came from the Mayor's Budget Forum. There's another budget forum on Saturday. Whether you can attend or not, it doesn't matter. You can also call in and leave a voicemail or email in your budget priorities. We're in that cycle where we're coming up with our fiscal year 2024 priorities. And if there are things that you want to see in the budget, whether that's grant funding for trash compactors or something else, it's a time for you really to have your voice heard. So with that being said, I'll open it up to any specific questions, but that's really what we've been working on. And, I'm hopeful we'll make some progress and meet the needs of both the businesses and the residents.
Commissioner McCarty?
No questions from me. Thank you.
All right, questions from members of the audience?
I have a question.
I
have a question as well.
So I want to thank you for assisting, because I know Commissioner Riccardi, it's a heavy lift over there. And I think that you've been very helpful. And I want to thank you and certainly the constituents over there finding it very helpful. But I just want to ask you briefly, I was on the Mount Vernon SID call like 2 weeks ago, and were you implying that to change up downtown was to make it more like New York or something? Or what were you saying? What were you saying? Because we don't have the population of New York.
I don't recall what that comment in particular. I don't remember mentioning New York. I'm more of a Miami guy, to be honest. But
Either way, it's more happening than here. So-
But what I think, our priority for downtown is that obviously the space pre-COVID was, office space, very commercial. And now as telework has redefined how we work, and we don't expect that we're ever going to go back to times before COVID, we really have to rethink downtown. And our long-term strategy there is to build more housing. And we know there's a housing crisis. So building housing there makes sense. It's also eco-friendly because the cheapest way to build a building is to not build one. So we're, flipping buildings from commercial space to residential. And we anticipate that as more housing exists downtown, people move downtown, that will also bring about more nightlife and culture. In the meantime, we have a focus on activating spaces like Franklin Park so that we can attract more people downtown and maintain vitality. But of course, a city of 8 million versus a city of 700,000 is going to have very different dynamics. But we have a rich diversity here, and we do want to be able to offer this second economy through our nightlife and cultural economy.
So I would, because I work down in Chinatown, and if anyone knows, that there's not something at the arena, it is pretty awful, right? Let's be honest. So anything that's creative, I will support anything down there and in downtown. And I was at a DuPont Gallery art panel a couple weeks ago, and they're making the suggestion for some of these empty spaces to turn them up to artist studios, to activate the space and have openings and all that. So maybe consider something like that, where you have an artist that can't normally afford a better studio space can activate at least some of these ground level spaces.
Yeah, we're certainly looking at that. We're looking at what we just met recently with some of the folks in the events planning community in DC about how we can use some of these commercial spaces that are not being utilized or fully utilized to do events and to bring people downtown. I just had my first meeting today about art all night. So we're also looking at how we extend hours and bring people outdoors downtown. We're looking at doing a go-go festival downtown. We're working with the Office of Creative Affairs. They do have grant money for those types of festivals and activations. And really our long-term strategies, we know that World Pride is coming to DC in 2025. And so by doing these types of activations and festivals with a focus on downtown, we're also building the muscle memory within our agencies to be able to put on big events and festivals and deal with the permitting process and all of that too. So we everything is on the table, and I of course welcome any ideas because we want to be able to offer some rich opportunities for everyone.
Other questions from commissioners before we go to the community?
I have a question. Thanks for joining the ANC this evening. I was just wondering if Monk is able to provide technical assistance or grant funding to businesses to work on sound mitigation issues. This is a very acute problem with 3 venues in my single member district, or what was formerly my single member district before redistricting. And the venue owners, I believe, are want to make changes so that their bass can't be heard directly into the bedrooms of their neighbors. But I'm not convinced that they have the technical expertise to do it. So wondering if Monk has a role to play there.
Yes, certainly. We are able to offer some support, but a much better opportunity for support is the district government does have an agreement with, the name's escaping me now, but there are 14 organizations that provide technical assistance for businesses that are applying for grants. I do understand that grants in general can be overwhelming, and that can also cause people to just, not be so enthusiastic about applying for them, and even more so if there's a language barrier or anything like that. So I can send the link, perhaps Commissioner McCarty, I'll just send that to you after this meeting and you can circulate it. There's 14 organizations, the majority of them, the service is free. Some of them, they're not included in the free service, but we have that relationship already. And so we just need to make sure we connect people to those organizations so they can receive the free service and apply for the grants.
Okay, thanks. I'll connect with Commissioner McCarty on that.
Any other questions from commissioners? If not, we'll go over to members of the community. We'll start with JB. You can unmute.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me? Hopefully okay.
Yes, we can.
So Director Safari and Commissioner McCarty, I cannot thank you enough. And I'm saying that because, so for all of you that are new, we've been dealing in this Blagden Alley neighborhood for over 2 years with these problems. So if we sound like the squeaky wheel, it's because we've been squeaking for 2 years and haven't been able to make any progress. And in less than 2 months, those barriers and the streetery that was blocking fire trucks and ambulances in Blagden Alley in front of Tiger Fork are gone. The responses on the trash, I mean, that's just astounding progress. And also just the communication and the transparency. So I just want to give you guys a huge shout out of gratitude. Just really, really great. I do want to ask on how do we deal with some of the remaining issues? I know, squeaky, on some of, because they're also existing with the licenses were approved with the last ANC without any protest on some of the issues that we have been experiencing around patron noise, security, enforcement of existing settlement letters, open rooftops that are that were approved for later hours than what was the norm in the neighborhood. And our previous ANC chair told us it was not his problem. We should just take it up with the new ANC. And if we wanted to, we could get an attorney. We'd much rather just work with our ANC and try and find a, like you said, a suitable balance between business and residents. But currently the scales have tipped, we feel, profoundly for the businesses, because we're having the same problems over and over again and having to call 911 and the police. We've had an increase in shootings and gunfire in Blagden Alley. We have people out there until 3 o'clock in the morning. We have tried calling 911 and ABRA, but the response time is quite, well, I mean, I understand city resources are really strapped. So instead of leveraging those city resources repeatedly, what can we do to actually address the cause instead of treating the symptoms? At the last ANC meeting, we talked about asking our ANC to amend with the alcohol board those licenses to engage in discussion with the community. And so that's where we're at. And it's really only a couple of operators, mostly Never Look Better and 18th Street Lounge.
Well, thank you for the kind words. You know, I definitely understand that this for residents has been an ongoing priority. And so, you know, based on our assessment of, you know, speaking to all the regulatory agencies, and as you point out, there's, you know, if people are in compliance, then the regulatory agencies don't have really any mechanism to make any changes. And so our goal really has been, how do we work together between the residents and the business owners to find some mitigations that will hopefully help everyone come to a resolution that is acceptable. And so the parking and the trash are the low-hanging fruit. I know I get tagged on Twitter a lot with the pictures of the trash.
Yeah.
And so we are, we are working on that and prioritizing that as well. I think for some of the other issues, ABRA is an independent agency. The director of ABRA reports to the ABC Commission. They have a really great outreach person that we've been working with, and we'll continue to explore how we can work together with the businesses. But I think what we really have to do is diagnose what the issues are. And with the trash and the parking, I think we've done that. We're working on resolving that. With other issues like noise, I know a few weeks ago, ABRA had reported to me that they got a noise complaint. So they went down, they found that the doors of one of the venues were open. They asked them to close them and they closed them. So, there's a little bit of information sharing, which we can be helpful with between MPD and ABRA, and making sure that on weekends, if there is a complaint, that we do get someone there to check out what's going on. And maybe it's the doors are open, they need to be closed and whatnot. Making MPD and ABRA just aware of those issues is how we can be most helpful. I think as far as some of the other issues that you had mentioned, with licenses later than the norm or rooftops, that's really going to fall under ABRA, and so we'd have to engage them to get a response.
Thanks so much.
All right, looking for other hands. I don't see any other hands raised. Is anyone else that wanted to ask a question of the director? Please raise your hand. I don't see any other hands raised. So, Director Spari, we thank you for taking the time to meet with our constituents and with the commission this evening, and we look forward to continuing to work with you to address these issues and issues of other establishments that are not being good neighbors or who can be better neighbors, so that we can try to have everybody be able to coexist.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. My contact information is, my email is just my first last name with the number 1. At dc.gov. Feel free to reach out. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, though email is going to be the best way if you want a guaranteed response from me. And, we'll continue to push for this, push forward in trying to find interventions that serve everybody. And we all know that things can always be better. So, I look forward to working with you.
Great. Thank you again, and have a wonderful evening.
Take care.
Next on the agenda, we have one zoning matter. This is 1507 9th Street Northwest. It's a notice of intent to file an application for a zoning map amendment. Monarch Urban. Over representatives, Nick Jesse. And Matt. Nick, is Matt also going to be presenting?
It'll just be me.
Okay.
Matt's here as well, but I'm just going to do a quick update for everyone. So thanks for having me. My name's Nick Jesse. I'm a 2G04 resident and principal at Monarch Urban. And for those of you who don't know, we were selected by Shiloh Baptist Church to redevelop the site at 1507 9th Street Northwest. And just wanted to provide a quick update about where we are in the process. So in early January, we mailed out a notice of intent to nearby neighbors and the ANC about the upcoming map amendment. You may have seen us at the January ANC meeting or at last week's zoning committee meeting where we presented the project. We do plan on formally filing the map amendment application on or around February 23rd. And we are filing the HPRB concept package next week. So we're looking forward to coming back in March to the zoning committee meeting and to the full ANC. But in the meantime, we're open to meet with anyone who has questions about the project. So I'm happy to share my contact info on the meeting tonight.
Could you take a couple of moments and just run us through the changes that are being requested in your map amendment?
Sure. Yeah. So there's one primary change. The current site is split zoned between MU4 and RF1, which are a mixed-use commercial and a single-family residential zone. And our map amendment will consolidate those two zones and will rezone the entire site as MU5. And that really is based on the district's comprehensive plan and the future land use maps, and just making sure that this site aligns with those designations that have been set out for this site.
All right, and the proposed development?
Yeah, so it's an all residential project. I did want to make one clarification from the zoning committee meeting. So our architect just misspoke and said that this would be a rental project, but we do intend for it to be a for sale building. It will be all residential. We haven't finalized a unit mix or total count yet, but somewhere between 40 to approximately 45 units is where we're ultimately going to land.
All right, any questions from members of the commission? Again, this is just a notice of intent. This applicant will be coming back to both the committee and the full commission after filing of their map amendment application. And seeing none, I see one hand, John Shaw. Go ahead. Go ahead and unmute.
Unmute. Okay. No, I just was. I'm usually on the zoning and historical committee. I couldn't make the last meeting, and I'm just curious. Are you finalizing, or is it still very preliminary, the outside treatment of this building? It's in a historic area next to an historic church, and I was a little concerned at what the outside covering of the building looked like.
Sure. Yeah, we have met with the Historic Preservation Office twice now to work on and refine the envelope of the building. We're obviously going to get a lot more feedback both from staff and from the board once the formal application gets in. So still plenty of a bit of a work in progress.
Thank you.
We have one question from the chat for Mr. Jesse. How many underground levels, if any, are planned?
Sure, there's one English basement level. So it's a half floor like you see on a lot of the row houses along 9th Street and within the rest of the neighborhood.
And I see Mr. Berry. Mr. Berry, you can unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, correct me if, can you hear me first of all?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the plan calls to have any parking, and I'm wondering if that's going to change and why there would be a plan to bring 40 new residents who then could get zone parking and park on the street and make that more difficult for an almost already unlivable situation for the current residents to have 40 new units, which might be 60 people who can drive, move in and have zero parking.
Sure, I'm happy to address that. So we will be providing all of the required parking per zoning on site. So we're not asking for any sort of parking relief or any reduction in that number. We're incentivized and aligned just like everyone else here to make sure that the future residents of this building have somewhere to park and don't overburden the already limited number of street parking spaces. So the last thing that we want is a new resident coming in and saying, looking at this building as a place that they want to buy or live, and say, well, where am I supposed to park? So if demand for spaces outnumbers what zoning requires us to provide, what we've done in the past and what we plan to do here is to rent a block of spaces at the closest garage. And so in this case, that would be would be City Market. And we would make sure that whoever in this building is looking for parking, we can provide it either on site or via a lease at a nearby garage.
Oh,
Okay.
is that definitive? Are you promising that?
Yeah, we offer that to all residents once our
All right.
spaces are accounted for. You know, in a building like this, quite honestly, we don't see a lot of folks that are looking for dedicated space, but it certainly happens, and it's certainly important to a lot of people. So we are, we understand the concern and have a lot of ways to mitigate it.
And we do have one person on the chat saying, related to the parking, because we shouldn't be encouraging new residents to bring new cars into this dense and transit-rich neighborhood. Let's see if we've got any other hands. Mr.
Mr.
Berry.
Berry has her hand up.
I thought that I'll go ahead and, no, I'm presuming that's a legacy hand, Mr. Berry.
I think
The commissioner
Berry
has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner. I'm looking at the other Berry. Commissioner, go ahead.
Right. Well, I wanted to address a couple of issues. I think when you have businesses and you have the mindset that residents that move into that building will not bring a car, you exclude a lot of people. That includes older residents and that excludes families. I don't want to send the message that people with cars will not be encouraged in that area, because that is false. This area is for everyone, not just people who can take a scooter or bike, but for families, and particularly, I want to talk about residents of color, Black residents, older residents, brown residents who do not typically utilize scooters and bikes. So, providing parking really does allow them the option to be here with their families. And I know that you have affordable options in that home, in that project, and you not allowing parking or not promoting it or not having it as an option in an area as dense as this is something that will keep them out. And it's more than just, oh, well, people want to live near downtown. Black people and brown people want to live near downtown. They want to have their families here. Disabled people want to live here. Older people want to live here, and they should be allowed and welcome to do that. So that's my response to the comment. And also to say that a temporary solution is not something I support. I support a permanent solution because this area is going to grow. And I hope that you consider that moving forward, because that's going to play a huge role in who will live in this area. And we do not want to continue to displace brown and Black people who have built Shaw up to make it what it is, because that's what's happening.
Sure, absolutely. And just to reiterate, we're not going to be asking for any sort of parking reduction or relief with any of our applications. So we do plan to provide parking both on site and off site as an overflow option if there's more demand.
Right. And as far as the climate goes, I would prefer to, I do want to protect the climate, but I do care about people, and that is important. I do not want to displace the residents who have built this area up, and people come before everything else. The people that live here currently.
So I just want to say really quickly that parking costs money, and building more parking than is necessary inherently raises the cost of living in our neighborhood. We have buildings in our ANC, such as the Perla, that have overbuilt parking, and they're struggling to rent out the parking in that building. And as a result, the cost of that underground parking structure flows through to the tenants, the folks living in that building. So even apart from the fact that DC has a policy where we're trying to discourage, we're trying to halve the amount of trips made by automobile by, I think, 2030, just like encouraging developers to build more parking that is necessary actually increases the cost and the of housing in our neighborhood.
It also it also encourages Black residents to move to suburbs. It also encourages older residents to move out of the city. It also stops people who are disabled. And the Perla is one building. Regular residents do not have access to that. So it is important and it is necessary. And it's something that I represent. I ran on that. I have an issue with taking away parking from residents. I have a huge issue with discouraging people who have vehicles here from moving into the city because that excludes families. Families cannot get on a scooter and ride down the street. And, you know, it's really ironic to me that people encourage the bus and cars and the bus and public transportation after the city has gentrified. Whereas before that, there was no interest in protecting residents on the bus. People didn't feel safe and still don't to a large degree. So I'm not blind to what bikes versus cars do, bike lanes, parking does to the city. I'm just saying you cannot ignore the people that live here. I will not allow them to be ignored. I will always speak up for them. I'm one of those people, and some of those people elected me, so.
All right. I don't see any other hands up on this case, so thank you very much, Mr. Jesse, for giving us a quick introduction to your project. And we look forward to seeing the details after your application has been submitted.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
you. Next, we have a historic preservation case. This is 1245 5th Street Northwest. It's a request for Historic Preservation Review Board approval of renovation plans. Is Mr. Saeed here or a representative?
Katerina's on. You can move her over.
Katerina Ferreira.
Yep. So exciting. I don't know if Mohammed's on or not. Mohammed, are you on? Raise your hand.
Yeah, Mr. Saeed, if you're with us, please do raise your hand. Yes, okay.
There he is.
Yep. All right, please proceed when you're ready.
Should I tee it up, Alex?
Yes, you can. Commissioner,
okay.
Please.
All right. So this is 1245 5th Street. It is the building that holds the corner store there at 5th and Ann Street. This is very exciting if this goes through. So it is basically a renovation of the current building. And what we're here tonight is to talk only about their submission for a HPRB. So this is about, you know, what it's going to look like, facade, the side. You know, we're not talking about what's going on inside. That's not yet because they're supposed to be retail. But go ahead and you guys can do the presentation. Katerina, Mohammed, anyone? Hi.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
Sorry, I was talking, but I was still muted. Okay, so I will just briefly walk you through the proposed changes to the building. As Commissioner Niger mentioned, we are only seeking historic preservation concept approval. There is no BZA relief involved. And the alterations to the building are fairly limited. There is no change in footprint. There is no top addition, nor rear addition. So basically the size and the overall square footage of the building will remain the same. The uses will also remain pretty much the same. It's currently a 2-unit building that has a commercial component on the ground floor and residential above. I'm sorry, what was Were you saying something? I'm sorry. Okay, I guess it was just interference. There are some limited alterations to the exterior that I will walk you through now. And this is a photo of the front of the building facing 5th Street. Probably everyone is
Are you
familiar
trying
with
to
it.
share your presentation? Because I'm not seeing it yet.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's try that again. So the building is located at the corner of, can you see it now? Sorry. Okay. It's located at the corner, thank you, located at the corner of 5th Street and N Streets Northwest. And it is a 2-story masonry building that currently has this haphazard side addition. The proposed alterations to the exterior of the building will focus mainly on the N Street elevation. The 5th Street elevation will remain fairly the same, except that we will be lowering the sills on the windows at the front to match those on the neighboring row houses. And we will be refurbishing the storefront that currently exists. And then the more significant alterations will occur on the N Street side, as mentioned, where we will be introducing 2 new bay windows and also cleaning up the rhythm of openings along that side of the building that currently looks like this. So you can see there's varying window sizes and misalignments and that awkward addition on the side that will be removed. And I will jump now just to some 3D views to show you the proposed massing. So here we are again. This is along the N Street side. You can see the 2 new bay windows being introduced. And here are 2 3D views showing both the front along 5th Street with the refurbished bay window, and then the 2 proposed bay windows on the N Street side. There are also some area ways that will be introduced. The cellar level will be fully excavated, and it's going to have additional bedrooms down there. In terms of floor plans, there's a retail space at the front, and then there's a residential unit that occupies half of the 1st floor roughly, and then the cellar and 2nd floor. And I will just go back to this image since this is the most significant alteration being proposed. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So at our committee meeting, the concern was pretty much this side. And we talked about the color and basically the look of the more modern facade. That said, we did, support it generally, but we'd like HPRB to kind of look at this. But on the call, I would like, there are 2 people who were not at the committee meeting. I know John Shaw's on the call and Carrie Silverman is on the call, who is the next door neighbor. And just some feedback from another committee member who wasn't there, Deborah. She goes, "Why are we accepting the ugly bay windows? They are not in character with a historic neighborhood." So there's some sentiment there. So why don't you unmute John Shaw?
Irina, can you take down your presentation so that I'm able to access the files? Okay.
John Shaw, go ahead.
Mute. Can you hear me?
Yes, John.
Yes. No. I was a little shocked at the bay windows, and we've had a real problem up on the west side of 6th Street between Rhode Island Avenue and S Street, with people dropping these ultra-modern changes to buildings in the middle of an historic neighborhood. I mean, they get to look out at, settled Victorian homes, and the Victorian homes get to look out at something that's not characteristic otherwise in that neighborhood. And I suggested, and I wrote the committee because I couldn't attend the meeting, but I wrote the committee that a little further south and a little further east, there are a number of houses, row houses, that are built with what is truly a bay window. And they're quite common, and I think would be much more appropriate, something along that line, in this particular neighborhood. There are two-story bay windows on many of those homes to the east of the convention center. I know because 20 years ago I was looking at some of them to buy, but they are there, and I think they would provide kind of maybe a more contextual thing with the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thanks, John. And Carrie, do you have any comments? I see the Carrie Silverman is on the call. Oh, raise your hand. There is, you see him over there, Alex?
Yes,
There is Carrie. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, and it's good to see you all. I appreciate that I've been kept in the loop on this project and seeing the plans. You know, the front of the facade is minimal changes, and I think the idea of lowering the windows to match seems very good. You know, on the N Street side of the property, I mean, personally, I would favor a more traditional bay window approach. That said, I've seen pretty similar designs put in place on the 400 block of Ridge Street, and I've seen them put in place on the 400 block of N Street. I don't love them. I don't think they fit the neighborhood, but HPRB has approved them before, and I maybe I've thrown in the towel on this fight, but I think they're likely to allow it again. So I do have some issues with the interior of the project, but that's beyond our scope today. But I do think, I mean, if you look at obviously the existing facade on N Street, that's nothing to be excited about, and whatever is being done here is certainly a huge improvement over what the current condition is. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. And I want to add that it was interesting. A couple of years ago, I went before the board, before HPRB, fighting something on Ridge Street that was going to be too modern, and they had referenced all of the glass buildings that we have in my single member district that came years before, and one of the actual committee members admitted that they now regretted it. But here we are. So it is unfortunate, and we have to live with those buildings. So, but I would encourage Mohammed and you as architect to listen to our concerns and potentially make those changes. Any other questions from the commissioners or comments?
I'll associate myself with your comments, Commissioner Nigro, as I did at your committee meeting. I think that at minimum, if we can look at the materials and color selection of the materials on the bays on the north side of the building, I think that would help to mitigate the harshness. Right now, it just looks like you've got two little pieces of the MLK library sticking out of a historic row house. It just clashes. It's unfortunate. I mean, the architect obviously has gone to some trouble to try to to make the bays attractive in the architectural language that she's working with, but if it can just be toned down so it's not quite as aggressive, I think you could get us to yes more easily than with where you are. I'm not insistent on cookie cutter historic architecture reproductions there. Obviously there is context already on the block with more modern additions, but if you can just try to tone it down a little bit, I think it would go a long way. And then on the 5th Street facade, we did raise the issue of the proposed removal of historic fabric, which several of us on the committee found objectionable and included in our recommendations that you study that. So has any further thought been given to any of our recommendations, Ms. Ferreira?
We are having ongoing discussions with the HPO regarding the project, and we recently shared the revised drawings that you saw with their office as well, and we will continue to discuss the proposed changes, including the opening up of the interior of the bay window that you were referring to, and we will take their view on it into consideration, of course, along with yours. We don't feel strongly about it either way. It is not something that has been raised as a concern by the HPO up to this point, because the bay window, when originally built, was done so in a rather haphazard way, and there's this awkward relationship between the masonry piers right behind it and the glass. So as an architect, and even from a as objective a point of view as I can possibly have, I certainly consider it to be an improvement, and it's really correcting something that may be, in fact, historical in terms of the age of the brick, but not necessarily a positive attribute to the building overall. So I think just because this is a personal opinion, but just because something is historic doesn't mean it can be improved upon. And quite honestly, in this case, I do think that opening up that interior space to the bay window and making it a proper bay that invites people into the space is an improvement that if the original building owners who built that bay window had the financial means to accomplish, they would have done so from the beginning. So from as an architect, from my standpoint, it is correcting a wrong. I know that sometimes historic preservation does try to preserve historic fabric, but it's a judgment call. Like, we're not bringing up the issue that we're removing the window sills at the windows where we're proposing lowering the sills. That's also historic fabric. So where do we draw the line here? I think it's a judgment call. What's considered to be a positive change and therefore worth pursuing, given that it's really an eyesore at the moment.
So, and we agree with the eyesore part. So many constituents, after I reposted the plans, were like, basically anything's better than what is currently there. So we all know that, we all are aware, and certainly I am aware HPRB will oftentimes kind of do what they want and not listen to us. So, and that's unfortunate. But we are positive for a change in this building, especially if the plan does move forward for a cafe. That would be most fantastic. So any change is good with this corner store. So we do appreciate it, Mohammed.
I'm going to try not to be offended by that. I certainly hope this is much better than just any change. You know,
But you know what I'm saying. It's just that,
I do, but I'm
just
trying to be lighthearted about it.
Yeah, it's that we would love to keep, I am besieged with the conversation of historic, and then we look across the city all the way across west, and we see Georgetown still looks like Georgetown. And then we have this literally a hodgepodge in my single member district. So I've always questioned that. Like, it has never been consistent. And when they admitted to me several years ago that they made a mistake, okay, and here we are. So just unfortunate. So
any other comments either from commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Barry.
I just wanted to reiterate what I said at the zoning meeting. I actually like the design of the building. I don't have a problem with the windows. I think it looks great. I do like the mixture of modern and historic. Yeah, I wanted to give my support because I said it at the zoning meeting, and I feel like you don't have enough of it right now. So you need to hear that, because other people might feel that way as well. So.
Okay. Anyone else from the public? I see Christy. Go ahead. Christy. Yep. Go ahead, Christy.
Thanks, Alex. Ms. Pettier, just a quick plug to put this out there. If you do wind up going forward with the more modern style bay windows, if that gets approved, would you please consider the quality of that, what looks like that metal that the pop out on the side is built out of? We've seen a number of buildings that have that kind of flat metal construction added to it, and it really wears really poorly and winds up looking really bad after just a couple of years. That's it. Thanks.
All right, I think you've got all the comments that we have to offer. Commissioner Nigro, this is.
And what, I don't know, Mohammed, do you want to say anything? Mohammed's the owner.
No, I think all of the comments well noted. Appreciate everyone's feedback.
And Mohammed, let me just say, because I say this to every developer / owner, whatever happens with this design, we just need you to go through with it, and then we need you to finish it. Because you live here and you see all the unfinished projects in our single member district. And frankly, we are just besides ourselves with all the unfinished projects.
Oh,
You got
trust me, I
it?
know.
So I can't call Department of Buildings any more than I do now. I am done. So
Yeah, the only thing I want to know, Nargo, this is just besides the point, but I reached out to DDOT about the curb, the tree box. So I'll update you on that.
you're gonna update on me that. You're gonna let me know?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
I'm in touch
And
with somebody
did you
with
reach
that.
out to the church about the easement yet or no?
The easement. Yes, yes. So we're trying to get a surveyor to come out. And basically we will need a survey done for that. And I spoke to Carrie and God, I can't remember his name. My other neighbor.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, well, they'll be coming out. Great. So Alex, let me ask you, how should I phrase the first part? Should we say move to support with the consideration of these changes?
Yes, you can. With the recommendation that those elements be be studied.
Yep. Okay. ANC 2G moves to support with the consideration to make changes to the reduced perceived massing on the bays on the north side with color and material, and discourage the removal of any historic fabric related to the bays. And we communicate this to HPRB.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. All right, you have 6 votes in favor and none opposed and no abstentions. So
thank you so much, everyone.
Yep. So good luck, Ms. Ferrera. We'll get this correspondence to HBRB so they can take it into consideration for your next round of review.
Thanks you
Wonderful.
both
Thank you
for
so
your
much.
time. Bye. Bye.
All right, we have our last case for the evening. This is Play DC Restaurant and Lounge. This is at 1541 7th Street Northwest. This is a request for support for renewal of an existing Class C tavern license. And I do see Sidon Johannes, counsel for the licensee. Ms. Johannes, is there anyone else from the Play DC team that wishes to be heard? If so, you can raise your hand so we can admit you. I don't see any hands raised. So we'll wait for Ms. Johannes to come over, and then please unmute.
Hi, good evening. I got cut off when you were asking me if there was anyone else.
Yes, is there anyone else we need to admit?
Yes, one of the owners should be here. Lul, and he may be on the phone. And Dana Jones is also.
See Dana, we'll go ahead and bring her over.
Okay.
And then Lul, I don't see Lul.
Yes.
I don't see him. Perhaps he's the Zoom user. Let's move him over here. And then while that's happening, I'll go ahead and share with the Commission and the public the basics of this license. As noted previously, this is Play DC Restaurant and Lounge at 1541 7th Street Northwest. This is a Class C tavern license. Hours of operation 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. on Sundays, Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 2 a.m., Friday and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. Hours of sales and the service are 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. on Sundays, 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. on Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 3 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. Hours of entertainment are Sundays 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. Monday through Thursday 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Friday and Saturday 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. And this is in Commissioner Lopez's single member district. Did you want to start with any preliminary comments, Commissioner?
Yeah, so just by way of background, this establishment obtained a license through a license transfer, which initially does not require the ANC to weigh in one way or the other. At this stage, they're going through a renewal process. PlayDC has been in operation in this iteration since I think fall of last year, initially operating on some one-day permits and before it got its license transfer. This is a nightclub establishment. The neighbors in the surrounding area have complained several times that to me as well as to the establishment that the bass can be heard or felt rather in their homes. I went over with we did a sound test last Saturday where I joined a neighbor who lives around the corner at 640 Q Street, and Lowell played music from the club at approximately the volume that the music would be played later in the evening, which is when residents, of course, are trying to sleep. And we can very clearly hear and feel the bass rattling from within this neighbor's bedroom. I've had complaints about bass being felt from residents all the way over on Marion Street, which would be kind of one block away. I'm optimistic that the owners and their council have been very communicative and have offered to correct this issue by retaining the services of an acoustical engineer to do like a more formal sound test, diagnose some of the issues, and recommend mitigation measures. At this stage, from my perspective and from what I'm hearing from residents, is that the situation is incredibly bad. Residents are not able to sleep at night. Residents with young children who already are getting woken up several times by their kids are not getting restful night's sleep on the weekends. If there was a way for me to hit pause on this establishment, I would do that. But I've instructed residents and neighbors to call ABRA as soon as they start hearing bass within their home to start establishing a case record for noise violations. That said, I don't think that the ANC can, in good conscience, support the renewal of this application, given the noise issues, until the noise issues get completely remedied. So my recommendation would be for the ANC to protest and allow myself as single member district commissioner to work with the establishment to retain an acoustical engineer and fix the situation as soon as we can.
All right, and the committee did hear presentation from the applicants and heard from a number of affected neighbors and voted to support the recommendation that the commission protest the renewal of the license with the objective of dealing with the noise and bass issues with the objective of hopefully resolving those before a full protest hearing had to be undertaken. I do see in the chat that there is a comment from one of the neighbors indicating that there are 5 residents in attendance on the Zoom who adamantly oppose PlayDC's license renewal. If any of those individuals would like to raise their hands because they'd like to make a statement at this point, I can bring you over. So I do see Doug Bunch. So Doug, if you'd like to unmute, please go ahead.
And while we're bringing them over, I do want to say that the noise issue needs to get corrected. And I hope that once the noise issue does get corrected, and I hope that it does get corrected quickly, I'm not inherently opposed to this establishment operating in the location it is, as long as it can operate in a way that does not impact the ability for neighbors to enjoy the peace in their own home.
All right, Mr. Bunch.
Yes, thanks so much. I appreciate you all taking time to engage the community. I live at 640 Q Street, which is at the corner of 7th and Q. The rear of my property abuts the back of Play DC at 1541 7th Street Northwest. And I guess I would make 2 points to the committee. The first is that the bass and the volume of the music that's playing at this establishment is orders of magnitude beyond anything else that, in our experience as neighbors, has come from any of the neighboring establishments. You know, we have on that same corner, Ivy and Coney, we have Passenger, we have Dasha. We've never had a problem with those, but the volume of music, and particularly the bass from this club, are a different universe of nuisance to deal with. And I'll just give you some concrete examples. When the bass is playing, you can feel the walls of my house vibrating. There are bathroom doors that vibrate on their hinges. Some of the pictures on the walls in the house need to be rehung. The tenant in the English basement, who's probably the person who sleeps closest to the rear of Play DC, cannot sleep on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. She's tried earplugs, she's tried nature sounds, none of it works. So this is a serious, serious issue. And I would say the worst experience I've had with any neighboring establishment since I moved to my house in 2011. The second point I would make is that this issue is not new to this committee. This ground has been tread. In January 2019, precisely the same establishment began to operate under, I think then, a temporary license, alcohol license. And this committee wisely decided not to renew any further request from them. And there has been no change. You'll hear from them that they've made changes, but that any changes they've made are not apparent to the neighboring properties. Nothing has changed in our experience. And I think particularly after the sound test the other day, it's self-evident that we're here 3 years later hearing the same story from the neighbors. So I would urge this committee to reach the same conclusion it did 3 years ago. I wrote a letter 3 years ago to the ANC, and I'll just read a few sentences of it because it hasn't changed. I said then, and I believe now, that as disturbing as the activities of Play DC are, the impact on our community is even more jarring. My neighbors and I cannot sleep. To be clear, Play DC offers nothing of value to our community, and in fact is to its detriment. If allowed to continue, the venue's conduct will continue to erode the quality of life in our neighborhood, not to mention property values. This board, this committee, should absolutely deny any further request for license. Play DC has been given an adequate opportunity to test whether it can handle its responsibility, and it's failed that test. So I'd respectfully urge you to deny the request. I think we're where we were 3 years ago, and nothing has changed.
Thank you. And Is there anyone else among the audience that wanted to be heard on this? Please raise your hand. Otherwise, we will go over to the applicants. Oh, I see Mike M. You can go ahead and unmute.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'll be really quick because I think Doug was said it very well. The main thing obviously is the quality of life and mental health issue here, and an inability to sleep at all 3 nights of the week in a home that I have owned for 13 years now, 12 years now, and that I would like to return to after I get done with my next overseas posting for the State Department. It's a mental health quality of life issue that we can't continue to deal with. So I just want to, I really hear Alex's point that we'd like to get to a place where, you know, any business in the community can operate and bring more life to the community. I personally, given the history that we've had with Play DC starting in late December 2018, and to the points that Doug made, I'll be honest, I'm very skeptical that we can get there. I hope we can, but they haven't, the company has not yet showed us its commitment to solving the issue. I will say, just after that sound test, I tried to get a verbal commitment when we told Play that we could clearly hear the sound in our bedrooms very, very loudly, that they would kill the bass that night. And throughout the night, later that evening, it was even louder than it was during the sound test, after I had received that verbal assurance. So it's experiences like that I'm not sure I believe it anymore. I am willing to if this could end immediately and they really work with a acoustical engineer over the coming months and also turn down the bass, like maybe there is a solution, but I don't personally see one right now as it stands. And I'll end there.
Thank you, Ms. Johannes and Mr. Mengistu.
And muted. Okay, yes. So thank you. As Commissioner Lopez said, there has been some communication between the parties. And what I will say here is there is a dispute regarding what is being heard. That said, they are committed to hiring a sound consultant and conducting the study that's necessary in order to ensure that music, the bass, and it's not being heard inside their residence. Because I'm not a sound engineer. I don't, sound travels in different ways. So what is heard in one location may not be heard in another. But they are committed to hiring a noise consultant and to conduct the proper studies and then to follow the recommendations of the noise consultant in order to ensure that noise is not being heard. That said, there were a lot of changes made since 2019. But I want to just ensure that everybody knows this establishment just became licensed in January of this year. That said, and I'm sorry, actually, I think late December of last year. That said, they are, going to move forward, going to continue communications. And in addition to that, I understand there's a concern about the time period. And you want, you don't want to be disturbed now. And so I would like to continue with the commissioners to try and ensure that does not happen. I believe that the applicants, my clients, and Lowell is here, and so is Dana, and they could speak on that. We'll continue to have those communications, even willing to have ABRA come out and investigators come out to see what levels are appropriate. So I say all that to say they are willing to, they are more than willing to work with the community. They do want to be a part of the community, and we do believe that we could add value here. So I understand that there's going to be a protest this evening, but we're hoping that residents are open enough to continue or to try and work with the applicant here, so that they can coexist.
Ms. Johannes, you said that there is a dispute over what is being heard. Can you clarify, are you disputing or is your client disputing what is being heard?
Sure. And when I say that there's a dispute, you're right, let me clarify. So Abra, of course, has come out. There's just in terms of what is being heard on, residents live in different locations, right? So they have not been inside the homes, but when Abra has come out on certain nights, they have said that they don't hear noise. So we need to know what is being heard, and only a sound engineer can really, or a noise consultant can tell us. Obviously, the bass is the bass, but at what level it's being heard and how to control that. Obviously, turn down the bass or turn it off. But there's different things that we can implement inside to ensure that it's not being heard. So I just don't know what is being heard at what time is being heard. That's what I mean by that.
I don't think there's any dispute the origin of the bass. We did the informal sound test with Mr. Magentia on Saturday on video phone. We told him to turn the sound on at a level that he typically would play the music on later in the evening. He did. Immediately from the bedroom, we were able to hear bass reverberation. So I don't think there's any dispute as to the origin of the sound or whether it can be heard within neighbors' houses. You said that there is a desire to retain services of a sound professional, acoustical professional. Why hasn't that happened yet? I don't need to be a bottleneck for you to do that. You said that you need to work with the ANC. Why hasn't the Play DC ownership already gone forward? Why are we going into another weekend where neighbors their sleep will be disrupted by this noise?
So Commissioner, it takes time to find a consultant and one that's going to do so immediately. And that's what I mean by we haven't, signed a contract and hired or engaged. We haven't chosen a sound consultant.
You haven't chosen a sound consultant.
Yes, Commissioner.
So the delay is on your part, is that right? Or your client's part, because they haven't chosen. This. If there was a way for me to hit pause on the operations of Play DC so that my constituents can sleep at night this weekend, I would do that. We don't have a way to do that. So I need to see some action from your client. And this needs to happen quickly because people are losing weekends of sleep every weekend that Play DC is in operation.
And I understand. And all I can tell you, this is the third time that we're sort of presenting, and I don't want to go back and forth. But what I can tell you is, as they have been in communication with you, that they will continue to do so. And they
don't need to be communication with me. They need to be communication with the sound engineer. And you came before the ABL committee in December. And what progress have you made since that?
In December, there weren't any residents that came to that meeting in December. And the next time that we spoke to you, Commissioner, was not, I mean, we spoke to you afterwards, but it wasn't until the February.
It
wasn't
with all due respect,
February
it's not
meeting
about me. It's not about me. Your client knows that the noise is an issue, and any delay in terms of fixing this issue or changing the nature of their operations, which is also something that a good neighbor would do, is unacceptable.
And again,
so I want to
hear you, and we are trying to take those steps as soon as possible. That's what I can say at the moment.
What are you doing to change the operations? Because we've heard from management, from the co-owners, that they would reduce the base. at the ABL committee last week, and they said they would kill the base. That didn't happen. We after the sound test, had assurances that the base would be lower on Saturday evening. According to Doug, it was even higher than on Saturday evening than during the sound test. It's just I want to find some evidence that Play DC is operating in good faith and making progress.
So I have to say that I'm dismayed to hear that after the committee meeting where there was a pledge to turn off the base, that the base is still being used. That's very disconcerting.
Commissioner, can you give Lowell an opportunity to speak? Can you?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Because he was the one that was present.
Yes, go ahead, please, Lowell.
Hey, how you guys doing? After hope you guys are having a good evening. And after that day, after we spoke, the subwoofer control, one of them, which is like easily if you touch it with your knees or something, the switch will come on a little bit, which the same day after y'all left, one of the DJs brought a guy that fixes sounds, and then we shut it off completely. Like the box, I shut off the subwoofers completely, which was one subwoofer working on a second level of the however, from 1 to 10, the levels, right? Everything was shut off the same day. The sound was at least I'm talking about halfway down as any other time. Then even communication wise in here, like in the place, we were communicating like we can speak sitting down by not, like it was not loud at all. The same day we made that changes after you left, sir. I was the one that made the change.
All right, there's another comment from the Q&A. My question is how this establishment is able to operate so late when other bars in the neighborhood have to close earlier, for example, Dasha. So the answer to the question
Alex.
is... Hello?
I'm sorry, Alex, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Dana.
Yes, Dana, I was speaking. Let me just finish my statement and then we'd be happy to hear from you. So I'm just answering this one question from the Q&A. And the reason why Play DC has longer hours than the other bars and restaurants is that it was never, the establishment that the ANC approved was never contemplated to be a nightclub or a bar. It was supposed to be a 24-hour breakfast restaurant. Which was supposed to have, a lounge associated with it in the evenings, but it was never intended to be a bar or nightclub. So therefore, the hours that they were granted were in excess of what we would have approved if it was a bar or restaurant. So just wanted to answer that question from the Q&A. Dana, please go ahead. Dana, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry about that. My mute button. So basically, Alex, when I spoke with Alex on Saturday, the agreement was, because I know that, you guys, Alex basically spoke about, why haven't we got the sound engineer to come out? When we spoke on Saturday, the conversation basically went that he wanted to start here with pretty much, him going around to the resident's home, and pretty much seeing if he can hear the sound, if he feel the shaking and etc. And from that point, we will move forward. I haven't heard back from Alex since then for us to go ahead to move forward. So we was all in agreement that we was going to, we considered to go ahead and get a sound-free person to come out, but I haven't heard from Alex to say A, B, or C to me for me to move forward.
So you don't need my permission to move forward.
I'm sorry?
You don't need my permission to move forward. And I had conversations with Lowell on Saturday night, who made the assurance that you would be looking into a sound engineer as soon as Sunday.
Okay, I understand I don't need your permission to move forward, but I'm just speaking on the last conversation that you and I had, and that was part of the conversation.
Okay, I'm not going to debate this.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Johannes?
No, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner
Alex.
Lopez, are you up?
Can I say
was it?
something? Alex?
Yes, go ahead.
So listen, I'm just observing this, and I have to be honest, to sitting here listening to all this, and it is pathetic. It is clear that this operator does not care and that they are continually making excuses. And so you don't have to wait for Alex Lopez or Alex Padro. It is obvious that you do not care about what is going on in this community. So I am in full support of protesting. This is utterly ridiculous coming from this from this establishment. Ridiculous.
We've got a couple of other hands that are raised. Carlos Reyes. Carlos, can you unmute?
Yes, hi, can you hear me? This is Carlos Reyes.
Yes, we can hear.
Thank you. Alex, thank you. Alex visited my bedroom on Saturday, where we conducted the informal sound check with Lowell. And the sense that we had, especially following the previous meeting on Thursday, here's what I found. If the establishment was conducting itself in good faith, there would have been some accommodations for that weekend. And for us to have that same conversation with them over FaceTime on Saturday was definitely disheartening. So I appreciate Alex's summary and the conversation here today. But we really would like to see some tangible steps from Play DC soon. It's clear that the work that went into setting up the current operations did not consider these issues, or if they did consider them, it wasn't thoroughly enough, because as Doug pointed out, there are other establishments on that block, and it's never been this level of an issue. So thank you all for hearing the neighbors.
Certainly. Lila Sidaway, you unmute and speak.
Yes, just confirming you can hear me.
Yes.
Thank you so much for taking this issue on the docket. All my neighbors have really just highlighted the direness of the situation. And we all live in separate places. So the fact that different locations are all are as disrupted as we are, despite next door or 3 houses down or 1 street down, says so much. And I have interacted with the Play DC management and lawyers at this point several times over the last few years, including text, meetings, emails. And as many times as they say they've made changes, if we're still not sleeping, they haven't made changes. And you don't need a sound engineer to unplug the bass, especially the night of a test that showed how disruptive it was. So I have zero faith in this establishment, and the testimonials that they gave today just solidified that for me.
Thank you. We also have Teresa Dubois has asked to be heard. Teresa, please unmute. Teresa, was that a legacy hand? Perhaps it was. All right. Commissioner Lopez.
I am, so I'm going to make a motion that ANC 60 protest the renewal of the Class C liquor license for Play DC on the grounds of peace, order, and quiet, and communicate that protest to the ABC board.
I'll second that.
I'll second.
Well, I'll give it to Commissioner McCarty in a second. Any further discussion on the part of the commission? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
And that's unanimous. Thank you very much. 6-0-0. All right, Ms. Johannes, I think it's very clear that the commission and the neighbors would like to see that that base turned off until a sound engineer is able to come up with appropriate measures to mitigate the transmission of that base, which is obviously the most serious concern. I would urge you and your clients to take this into consideration and take into consideration the fact that neighbors have been very patient and have been waiting, to have an improvement in this situation and have not had any relief. I think that it is reasonable if you were to continue to operate this weekend to not engage the base so that these folks can see a demonstration of good faith on the part of Play DC. I would ask you all to take that advice, but obviously that is up to you to move forward.
Understood. Thank you, Commissioner. And we will consider it, and I definitely will get back to you on what we are committing to, what we will commit to do immediately.
Why do you have to get back to Alex? Just do something.
Well, we will do. What I meant is I will
God.
I will let you know what we're doing to show good faith, and so that you can see that it's being done. I'm
I
not
appreciate you keeping me in the loop, but I want, but go ahead and do it quickly.
That's all I am saying. As counsel, I will speak to my clients and I will get back to you all on exactly what is being done so that you guys know what's gonna happen moving forward. That's just good faith, and that's all I meant. So,
we look forward to hearing something positive very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a couple of administrative matters before we can adjourn. I would accept a motion to table approval of the standard procedures until the March meeting. Is there a motion?
Second.
It was moved by Commissioner McCarty, seconded by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Unanimous. Commissioner Barry, were you in agreement? Yes. Okay, great. Thanks. That's 600. Approval of minutes of the January 12th, 2023 meeting. I circulated a track changes copy with some very modest changes. There were just a few words that were missing here or there. Did anyone else have any other corrections that they needed to submit to Karen Yaley, our recording secretary? And if not, I would welcome a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. It's moved by Mr. Brown, seconded by Mr. Lopez. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Please raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Approval of expenses and treasurer's report. Well, I guess there isn't really a treasurer's report because we don't have an account yet, but approval of expenses, Commissioner Brown.
I think I've received 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 expenses. Who submitted the Zoom request for reimbursement? I gotta make sure I have the right. Okay.
We had to say to who?
Pardon me?
To who?
I submitted it to Commissioner Brown.
Well, he has to say that.
For this month.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And Michelle, you had an additional thing for printing for the FedEx, right?
That's right.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay. First expense, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that ANC 2G reimburse Rochelle for printing in the amount of $16.96.
Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Barry. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
This is for printing agendas or something?
Commissioner
Yeah, the
Nigro.
agendas again.
The usual printing.
Okay.
Commissioner Nigro, you need to recuse yourself because.
Oh,
this
sorry.
is
Right,
reimbursement.
right.
Yeah.
My $16.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that 501? Okay, motion passes. Next.
Yeah. Okay. Rochelle has 2 Uber receipts. Should I do it separately?
No, you can consolidate them.
I just want to make sure.
And we got approval for that. So I used it,
Yes,
even though I
yes.
voted against it.
Yes.
You consolidate it.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we reimburse Rochelle Nigro in the amount of where is it? I didn't even talk with, wait a minute. Oh, $20.89, which is a combination of $9.96 and $10.93, a total amount $20.89 for Uber rides to official business.
Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Berry. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's 5-0 and one abstention, Commissioner Nigro. Motion passes. Next.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that ANC 2G pay Karen Yaley the amount of $275 for her minute taking and web updating for January 2023.
I believe that's for February because we approved January last month.
Oh, I must have printed the wrong one. Okay.
She just sent the February one during the meeting.
Oh, that's what it is. I didn't have it. Okay, so this is February. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that ANC 2G pay our note taker and website updating individual, Karen Yaley, the amount of $275 for the month of February.
I second.
So been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Unanimous. Thank you very much. 6-0-0.
Okay. Next, I'd like to make a motion that ANC 2G reimburse Alex Padro the amount of $99.63 for the Zoom meeting for tonight.
Is there a second? That's been seconded by Commissioner Berry. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 I abstain, so that's 5-0-1. Motion passes.
Okay.
Next.
Last one, I'd like to make a motion that ANC 2G reimburse Alex Podge for the amount of $432 for the rental of the post office box for this year.
Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Berry. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Commissioner McCarty, I didn't see a hand or an eye. Okay, that's and I abstain. That's 5-0-1. Motion passes.
Okay.
Anything else, Commissioner Brown?
That's it. We should be having our account open probably no later than Monday or Tuesday. I will expeditiously make sure that we have these checks as soon as we get everything straight with the Office of ANC.
Yes, and as soon as there's actually money in the account, other than the $50 that I chipped in. So.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right. All right.
Wait, are you saying, so wait, Stephen, are you saying you have you have the receipt? This is the receipt?
Yeah, Commissioner Brown, sorry.
Yes,
I
I'm
sent you
sorry.
a receipt for Squarespace for our website for the entire year of 2023.
Okay.
That's partially my fault because I sent it to you as the meeting was getting started tonight.
Okay.
But that total amount expended was $234.05, and that covers 12 months of Squarespace.
Okay. Making a note. You've already sent it in, right?
Yes, and I included the receipt as
well. Okay.
So Stephen, so wait, is the GoDaddy, since we're some discussion about GoDaddy earlier, is that monthly now, or is that, did we pay that for the year for the hosting?
I'll have to check that one.
I think that's still monthly. Or maybe, I don't know. We'll check that out. I'll check that out.
Okay.
I also have a receipt. I haven't submitted, so I have to submit it.
Let's complete Stephen's reimbursement.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that ANC 2G reimburse Commissioner Steve McCarty $234.05 for the
Squarespace website for the year of 2023.
Okay, gotcha.
Second.
Been probably moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And Mr. McCarty, you're abstaining because you're being reimbursed. So that's 501. Motion passes.
Okay.
Harry,
Sheena?
Oh, yeah. So I have a receipt I have to send you. I just wanted to make note of that. I don't think you can vote on it yet because you don't have the receipt. So, you know, I wanted to state that while we're talking about that business.
You can tell us what it is.
Yeah, we did the last month.
Yeah, it's a Kinko's receipt. I told you about it. I just
Okay.
did not send it to you. So, yes.
Okay. How much is
Why
it?
don't we vote on it?
Yes.
Okay.
We
It was decided last time that I would send it in and then you would vote on it. It was, I don't know how much it was because I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
Hold on.
okay.
All right.
You want to take a minute and see if you can retrieve it?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, it was $79.18 for water resistant 11 by 17 meeting paper at FedEx.
What was your vendor?
Is that the January or the February receipt?
This is February. I apparently have lost January's, so that's what this is.
You know, if you go back to the FedEx Kinko's and you give them your credit card, usually they can print up the old receipt.
Right, yeah, that they told me that would take them a long time to do, so.
Oh no, they should don't believe that.
All right.
I
So this
hope
was
not.
this was payable to FedEx.
FedEx Kinko, FedEx.
You're being reimbursed.
Yes. I just want to make sure I have the right receipt to go with. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that ANC 2G reimburse Sheena, Commissioner Barry, $79.18 for waterproof paper for this month's meeting.
Is there a second?
I second.
Been probably moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you.
And Commissioner Barry abstained, so that's 501. Motion passes.
Mm-hmm.
Other expenses that need to be reimbursed that anybody has any receipts for currently? Okay. So that concludes our administrative matters.
Mm-hmm.
Did we briefly want to discuss a format for the webinar going forward, or do we want to take that up in our work session when we're discussing the approval of standard procedures?
I think we should talk about it also because we have some of the people that are have mentioned it while it's on the phone. So I think, and it was Commissioner McCarty's constituents specifically who like the meeting format where you can see everyone's face. And there are some of my constituents in the past when we moved with this that they missed that too. They love that.
Okay, but you can still, promote people to panelists as you can with the webinar.
No, you open their mic up. So there's no, it's a more of a free thing. It's just more that they wanted to see who was in the meeting, whereas now they don't. So, and what you do is when you have a lot of people, the only thing that I like the webinar, if you have to run it, is that it's easier to control. That's the reason. So that's why we chose the webinar, because it's easier to control with the commissioners and keep where everyone is and kind of in their place. But I understand what the constituents are saying. They enjoy and they find that more transparent when they see everyone. So
I'll also plus, I'm in agreement with everything Commissioner Nigro said. I've heard that from my constituents as well. Another point they brought up was just the chat is limiting because this format forces you to pose a question in the Q&A. So there's no opportunity for like a back and forth. So that was another concern that they raised.
And the point being, they enjoy that, but if you're actually running the meeting, it's another level of control and then like organizing, just from experience. So that's it. There's two sides. And our side is not about the trade. It's just easier to do with the webinar. That's the only thing.
I like the transparency and feedback. I think that we should avoid having to react to everything that goes into the chat. I think that would potentially add a lot of time length to our meetings. But I would be in favor of at least piloting it.
Okay, so the suggestion is that we try the meeting format that allows for the chat, but we're not going to be responding to the chat. Chat is something for the audience to engage in. Is that what I'm understanding?
Can you say that
Yeah,
again?
I just think it would be,
Yeah,
I think it would be distracting if we had to respond to everything that pops into the chat. It would prevent us from doing our business.
So questions would still go into Q&A, but the chat would just be an interactive means for the audience to communicate with themselves, between themselves. Is that right?
I mean, we would read it ourselves, so we don't have to respond to anything. Yeah.
And you can open up the chat with the webinar format. It's just a matter of do we want to remain in the webinar format?
Well, it sounded like Stephen's constituents just wanted to be able to see how many people were in the Zoom, right?
They want to see who's here. And so in the past, they want to see, oh, there's Ed from the Enclave. You know, that is their thing.
They have associations, and so if association member A comes and association member B comes, they want to know that A and B are both there. That way I can say, oh, actually, come, you know, Rochelle, you take this one. I want you to speak. I don't need to speak. So it's more so they can also organize themselves when they want to share comment as the association.
I'm just going to say again, it's harder to, again, not talking about the transparency or them seeing it's a harder meeting to manage if you have a lot of participants. That's it. That's why we chose the webinar format. But whatever floats everyone's boat.
Want to take a quick show of hands. You know, how many people want to stick with the webinar?
This is what we have now, right?
Right, the current format.
I don't know. I think we should give it a shot to try it the other way, see if it's better. I mean, if we don't like it, we could switch back. You know, maybe they don't like it.
Well, I'll be honest with you. If we go back to the meeting I could care less about the chat or it is very hard to run.
Okay.
I mean, that's just me, but don't listen to me. Let's try it, but I'm not running it. There you go.
Because I want to hear the neighbors and how they feel and what they, you know,
they want the old way
to be the place where they vocalize how they feel. So to give them the opportunity to do that is, you know, if they want to try that, we could try the format, you know, maybe we try it on the next meeting and then we decide at the end of the meeting, hey, you know what, this is too much. And we explain that to them and see if they agree with that. You know, maybe it's distracting to them as well. Like, I don't think that trying it once solidifies that we have to stay that way continuously. It allows us to collaborate with them. You know, that's something that they want from us. Let's just give it a shot, and if it doesn't work, we can always switch back.
I think you should run it.
It's one,
and then you'll find what it's like.
Like, just see how it goes.
So it seems like Rochelle is nominating Sheena to
because I would say keep this, but open up the chat. Because what happens when you have a lot of participants is you actually lose the commissioners. And if you know, Alex Padro was there, and I would like constantly, I would like, where did Alex go? Where are they? And they jump around the screen, and so you're constantly going, oh, where's
that's a great compromise. Like, we open the chat up and that's a great compromise. We can try. Yeah, we can open the chat. And that's the first step. Yeah.
So I see some nods and some thumbs up. So it sounds like that's what we're gonna try to do. So we're gonna do the webinar with chat for March.
Okay.
Sound good? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. With that, Our next meeting will take place on March the 9th, 2023 via Zoom. I would welcome a motion to adjourn.
So
Oh,
moved.
one more thing. Can I just do
Sure.
a quick announcement that we're likely to have a committee of the whole, which is like a planning meeting for the ANC between now and next month's meeting. And according to OANC guidance, that should be open to the public. So I just want to make kind of that brief announcement. We don't have a date set.
And that doesn't have a 7-day notice requirement, correct?
It does not have a 7-day notice requirement, but we should probably post to the website.
All right. Motion to adjourn, someone?
So moved.
Seconded by someone?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Then we adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 That's unanimous. Motion
Alex.
carries. Yes.
Pedro, so when you stop the meeting, it's gonna ask you where you want to record it, okay? And so you just have, yeah, but here's the thing, you're gonna have to somehow send it to Karen or send it to me so I can upload it to the YouTube.
Okay.
So just make sure you
send the link for the class.
Well, yeah, so you're gonna have to make sure you find it because sometimes it'll get lost, right, wherever it is.
Okay.
Find it and then send it to me or to Karen directly, but you might have to just send it to me first and then I upload it onto YouTube.
All right. I'll be sure to do that. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a happy
Bye.
Valentine's Day.
Thank
and,
you.
Bye, take care.
Black History Month.
Yeah. Happy Black History Month.
Yeah.
Bye.